I go home, people ask me, hey, Hoot, why do you do it, man? Why? Some kind of war junkie? I won't say a goddamn word. Why? They won't understand. They won't understand why we do it. They won't understand it's about the men next to you. And that's it. That's all it is.
Revolution Radio, freedomslips.com, #1 listener-supported radio, the printing press for freedom at a time when freedom is needed the most.
What is going on here? I demand an explanation.
We work for a highly funded yet unofficial government agency.
An intelligence organization that fears intelligence, historically not awesome.
The United States is a democratic nation. Here the people rule. We build no walls to keep them in, nor organize any system of police to keep them mute.
Freedom isn't free at all, but it comes with the highest of costs.
We have you, the listeners, and the hosts at
Revolution Radio
for allowing us to bring you a platform of free speech.
Right now, it's 12 o'clock, Americans, another day closer to victory. And for all of you out there on or behind the lines,
clock's run out. Time's up. Wind is blowing cold and dark. On the road and no way out. Broken house, the smoking gun. On the run. On the run.
I know a lot of you come here, you watch TV, you wait every night for somebody to come on here and give you an answer for your lives, waiting for someone that'll come and say, hey, this is it. I don't have to settle for defeat anymore. I can rise up out of my routine. I can get a hold of myself. I don't have to lose. I can win. There's something inside me that's not going to let me go down anymore. But I'm not the guy.
I need perfection, some twisted selection that tangles me to keep me alive in all that exists, but none has your beauty. I see your face and I will survive. Mystify me.
My name's Jimmy. And to the microcosm is all me out. Jungle boogie, jungle boogie, get it on. Jungle boogie, jungle boogie, get it on. Jungle boogie, jungle boogie, but with the get down. Jungle boogie, jungle boogie, shake it around. Tournament. Are you there?
I am here.
I didn't know if you were going to be there. Couldn't tell.
It was funny, man. Yeah, I signed in, and then all of a sudden there's no mic. So I just tested it when it came out. But what was funny is Surf is up today. I saw something today that was almost had me rolling in the truck, the work truck. Parked at the intersection, waiting to get on the highway. There's two guys in front of me. And the guy directly from me has got a surfboard in the back. Like literally got a surfboard in the back. And I start hearing these noises. Quack! Quack, right? Like firecrackers or something. I'm looking around. I thought they're gunshots at first. And I'm looking around. I don't see anything. Then I keep seeing this guy reach out the window with his left hand and throw something on the ground. What he's trying to do is get the guy in front of him to move his car because he wants to get surfing.
Yeah.
He's like an old guy too. Like it's not. This isn't like a the guy's like cussing him out and stuff, right? Because the traffic's going too slow for him. Wants to get into the waves, right? It was funny because I ended up going where he was going, right? And ended up pulling in there. Next thing I hear is like the lifeguard, get out of the water. Chase them all out of there. So, yeah. Anyway, I just thought that it was appropriate for the music intro for today because it literally happened today.
Well, Mavericks was going off Monday. The pier got 100 some odd feet of the Santa Cruz pier got wiped out by some waves.
Nice. Not nice, but
yeah. No, and then the harbor boats strewn about like so much, plastic. We're just flying around like nothing. There were 68-foot face waves at Mavericks. So now, what is it now? The face, if you're looking at it from the back and the face, the back is bigger than the face, right? So if it's a 68...
the back, so if it's a 30-foot wave, right, and from the back, like the swell is 30 feet and it breaks, and from the back you still see 30 feet, the face might be 60 feet.
Yeah, so it was 68-foot face going on at Mavericks.
I wanted to get up there today. I didn't get a chance to get up there. There's high surf warning. But when they call it Jaws, I mean, the name of the waves up there on the north coast, northwest coast rather, here in Maui. And I thought they might be there today. But this guy was going a beach or two prior to that. And it was just funny because it just, get out of my way, man. Get going, man. Surf's up,
Surf's up.
It's like a stereotype. I'd never seen that before, man. Like, it was literally throwing these, these kind of fireworks, I guess, where you throw them on the ground. They go off like, they sound like a gunshot. Crack, crack, right? So get the guy moving. Like, get a move on, bro.
Man, it's 2024. I mean, you don't want to be. Most people are. I mean, I don't know. It's a good way.
I'd be scared too. I mean, this guy was generally pissed too. I could see him in his side mirror, the driver's side mirror.
Yeah.
He's like really cussing him out and stuff. And I'm thinking, like, you're probably thinking, the audience is thinking, yeah, this is 2024, man. That guy might turn around and shoot you, man. He doesn't know what you're doing there.
Yeah.
You
got to be careful.
I wouldn't do it myself.
No,
but it brings back the old days, I guess, of the 70s and 80s when that was more of a thing. We live in his youth, I think.
Yeah, well, those days are over, Jack. It's time to step into 2024, and we're about to leave 2024. We're about to head on out to 2025. And, the memory hole is wide. Is it also deep? And I'm sure we're going to figure out some of these memory hole items tonight here on Into the Microcosm. Remember, it's Revolution Radio, fully listener supported. Now, I saw someone in the chat asking the question, why wasn't Revolution Radio on TalkStream Live. So I'm going to mosey on over to TalkStream Live and check it out and see exactly what's going on over there with Revolution Radio.
Steve vanished.
Well, you can find us over there at revolution.radio and become a supporter. Free speech. So TalkStream's not carrying it. We'll find out momentarily. My internet, since all day today, there's been a super high delay every time I click on something. So on my wireless connections, on my wired connections, everything seems to be A-okay. But so I don't know what's going on with this wireless stuff, but we'll find out if Revolution Radio is on TalkStream Live momentarily. But in the meantime, so I'm obviously the big news of the week, I think, so far, and since just Christmas is just over with. Merry Christmas, in case you didn't get the Merry Christmas that we gave you. Merry Christmas, everybody. Good to see you.
Merry Christmas.
Yeah, so it looks like TalkStream Live still has not booted up completely. There's a bunch of icons missing, but I don't see Revolution Radio on here anywhere right now, and that's a bummer because we got a lot of listeners on TalkStream Live. So I wonder why that's going on. Don't know. Either that or we're just further down in the hole somewhere. I don't see it. No. Maybe management over at Revolution Radio, if somebody's listening, they can go over there and figure that out. Send an email over there to that guy. He might have thrown you off of there. I don't know why. But yeah, so Gang of Four, I don't know why. But it's definitely not there. And that's a bummer. But that's the way it goes, Joe. Sometimes it's there. I've never seen it not be there. So maybe something's going on. Maybe there's some paperwork that needed to be sent in. Somebody got an email from them and went to the wrong person, shit like that. You never know.
It did a server reset and half the stuff didn't come back online.
Who knows, man? Who knows? I think we'll start a new segment in the new year. We'll call it Stayin' Alive in 2025, and we'll put together ways that you can try to keep yourself alive. All right, listen. So the big news this week, obviously, is this whole Vivek Ramaswamy dude and Musk coming out about these engineers.
Yeah, we need immigrants. Yeah, we need more immigrants. Yeah.
So there seems to be a big rift in the situation here. I got a clip here. Let me get this Vivek Ramaswamy prick. Because listen, I'm telling you right now, I don't like this guy. And it's starting to be a little bit. I've never actually seen. Have you ever seen this much? I'm gonna do this. I'm gonna do that before somebody takes office.
Never.
With all these people being trotted out like so many characters in a script. I mean,
WWE. That's totally WWE.
Dude, did you see Elon Musk running? Trump standing at a podium in the middle of some sort of, I don't know what it was. It was some sort of an event. But there was, it was sort of a bowl style. So there's people just stacked, from the base all the way up either side of you see people. And here's Elon Musk running around with a black MAGA baseball cap on with his hands going like this to make people yell louder. It was the most ridiculous thing I've ever seen in my life. I mean, maybe the dude's a billionaire and he's having some fun or whatever, running around or whatever, but he was like the It's like a hype man. That the old like
not cheerleader, but
no, I'm just saying. Back in the day, the old hip hop dudes,
the TV studio,
the old hip hop dudes used to have a hype guy. Like
right,
Flavor Flav was a hype guy. He'd go out and get the crowd hyped up. He's a hype man. So Elon Musk is not President Musk. It's hype man Musk. All right, hype man Musk. Here we go. Let's take a listen to this.
The party is staring at a widespread chaos as Donald Trump prepares to return to the White House. Rifts within the GOP came to light when former Republican presidential nominee Vivek Ramaswamy opened a can of worms on the hot-button issue of immigration. The Indian-American billionaire reflected on Donald Trump picking another Indian-American, Sriram Krishnan, to advise the White House on matters regarding artificial intelligence. Ramaswamy said American firms prefer hiring Indian Americans because modern-day Americans have a mediocre culture that celebrates prom nights and football jocks instead of engineers.
The reason top tech companies often hire foreign-born and first-generation engineers over Native Americans isn't because of an innate American IQ deficit, a lazy and wrong explanation. A key part of it comes down to the C word. A culture that celebrates the prom queen over the math Olympiad champ, or the jock over the valedictorian, will not produce the best engineers.
The tech billionaire then went on to state several parenting practices that are common in America and how they were not the best for raising the future generation.
More movies like Whiplash, fewer reruns of Friends, more math tutoring, fewer sleepovers, more weekend science competitions, fewer Saturday morning cartoons, more books, less TV, more creating, less chilling, more extracurriculars, less hanging out at the mall. Most normal American parents look skeptically at those kind of parents. More normal American kids view those kinds of kids with scorn. If you grow up aspiring to normalcy, normalcy is what you will achieve. This
So
Eka has a mellow voice compared to Vivek, actually, because he's such a cocky, smart-ass man. Everybody hates his guts. Like that's what he's known for.
That was Vivek Ramaswamy right there. But let me just say this: I don't necessarily disagree with what he's saying. On one level, what he's saying is kind of true, but on another level, that's how some parents may choose to raise their children, and then those children then become engineers. It's not that every single kid in America is going to be an engineer. And so what he's saying is, why go through all that when we can just bring them on in? You know what I mean? So that's the issue that I have. So it's not a matter of contrast between this or that, because we're not talking about the same thing. Not everybody wants to be an engineer, Vivek. You know?
But right. I mean,
some people want to be prom queens and some people want to be jocks.
Football players, yeah. Exactly. So, but what they're doing is they're cashing in their, they're cashing in. They put out money out there, right? And say, okay, you owe us, right? Give us our immigrants. Give us our visas, right? What do they call it, H-1B visas or something like that? It's both him and Musk both. They're saying, hey, we need these. This is what we need.
There's a whole different expectation too. The thing is like I live in Silicon Valley, so they made these companies where these H-1 visa people, the companies where they work, they literally have snack bars and all this other shit, pizza, ice cream, all this, and you just see these.
Except it takes you to work.
I'm just saying, there's dudes just sitting there and sleeping there and just living there and just getting up and coding and then going and eating some shit at the snack bar and then go sleeping on the dark couch or whatever with the lights out. I mean, or living in their cars right on the thing, because a lot of people can't even afford to live in Silicon Valley with the kind of money that these guys are getting paid. Now, how much money are these guys getting paid in relation to how much money the American workers are getting paid? Matter of fact, I'd be willing. I'd be interested to see what the actual demographic breakdown is of Google. I wonder if there is one. We should look.
Well, the pay scale would go with it. Yeah, that's what they were saying about these immigrant visas. Is while they're working on an immigrant visa, they're not working at normal wages for that, what somebody who's hired here would. They're coming in. A lot of these people are in high school. Man. They bring them over in high school and they go to college here, and they're hiring them out of college that way. That's how they get the visa, and they pay them almost like an intern. Interns don't get paid.
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah,
they're basically slaves.
Yeah,
here's these billionaires over here going, "Hey, man, what's up? You trying to cut off our slaves? Give us more slaves. If you want to be if you want the golden age, that's what they're starting to call it now, the new golden age of America. If you want that, okay, you're gonna need to make some changes around here. Now, have you seen some of this immigration they're talking about? Have you seen the UK version of it? Have you seen? I saw a video yesterday or day before yesterday of there was some sort of a religious service that was letting out, and it was the UK. And I swear to God, I swear you would not have thought it was the UK. The only reason I could verify that it was is because the cop that was yelling at all these Indians coming out of this church
had the accent.
He had an English accent.
Oh, there's a huge Pakistani population there too. It's ironic because India and Pakistan are always fighting each other regionally, in their actual countries over there. But over in England, it's like this huge population of Indian and Pakistani folks. A lot of others too. But I know when my girlfriend had gone there back in the day, she's like, "Where's all the British at?" She was like posting from there and stuff and taking pictures and stuff. And other than the people out in front of Buckingham Palace, it was like, she thought she was over in that section of the world or something.
Well, so you got Generation Z, and then you have Generation Alpha that's coming out, right? So I wonder what it's going to look like in Generation Alpha. I wonder if any of these, because most of this Western culture, most of this Western culture is being overrun because there's, what's the demographic worldwide? I mean, not in America, but just worldwide. How many white people are there in the world, would you say? I mean, it's probably
percentage-wise, I have it with me, but it's not as much as people think. Like over here, it's a lot. It's over 50%, just barely. But globally, I think it's less than a fifth. You have the Russians, and you have us over here, and you have the English, and the Caucasians, right? Basically, and the rest is the major population centers are China, India. So that represents 2/3 of the world's population right there. So
now, have you seen the people in China crying? Have you seen the video of people crying off the train? Have you seen?
I have not.
The tears are flowing in China, man. Seriously flowing. Let's see the world demographics. Let me pull it up here and see exactly what's going on. Because, ultimately, what's holding Western civilization in place at this point? Because seems like everything's being overrun. Things are being torn down. The old's being replaced with something else. How long does it take to forget something? You know what I mean? Like, how long would it take, do you think, for something to be completely erased from our lexicon without
40 years?
40 years. You think 40 years?
Yeah. Okay. Not even a full generation, because it's the young become less attached in Western culture to the elderly, the older, and the next generation that they birth, right, won't know anything about them pretty much. So I think that's about right. It won't be totally forgotten, like erased from books or anything, from talking to grandpa, but as far as being relevant, you can totally change culture in 40 years.
Obviously, it was that was Winston's job, was to erase history, right? In the Ministry of Information. So at this point, with everything moving so fast, I bet you can just memory hole something in 30 seconds. It's like hey Hank, what's going on? It's like the drone story. All of a sudden, just fell off the radar. What happened to them drones, man?
It fell off the radar.
All of a sudden, Vivek Ramaswamy said, made a comment, and next thing you knew, those drones were gone. I don't know. But then I did notice, we brought it up last week, and I did notice that, the conversation about the drones versus the orbs has now surfaced, becoming a big topic. There's even some pictures, some pretty detailed, high-definition pictures of these orbs. Nobody seems to know where they are until they appear. They don't show up on radar. So for some reason, I can't get a demographic.
I also get countries in the world by population, and just right off the bat, the two most populous countries are India and China. Like you're saying, that's 3 billion people, 8 billion are there, and the rest are pretty much primarily in Asia. The United States is number 3, but it's only 345 million compared to the, 1.5 billion in the other two countries above us. And then everything after that is almost all Asian, or that region of the world is Indonesia, Pakistan, Bangladesh. A couple African countries. Nigeria is 232 million. I wouldn't have placed them that high. I knew there was a lot of people there, but I didn't know there's that many.
What color are they is the point, because what I'm saying is
brown and black primarily. Yeah,
that's what I mean.
Out of the top, let's see, the top 10 countries. I'll just read off top 10: India, China, United States, Indonesia, Pakistan, Nigeria, Brazil, Bangladesh, Russia, Ethiopia, Mexico. It's us and Russia. And in Brazil, Russia is number 9, the 144 million. So combined United States and Russia together is the only Caucasian nations in that group of top 10.
Interesting.
And we still come up with only basically
10%,
about 500 million people. So less than a third of what just either India or China has.
Yeah. So, I don't know. Seriously.
UK is number 21. I was looking down the rest of the list, like going down to the next Caucasian country. I feel like we're being white supremacists or something. Forgive us for marching off this way. We're not.
That's the programming.
Like this, just relative worldwide.
It's not. It's not wrong to talk about demographics and talk about a color of the person that you're talking.
Well, no, exactly. For us, oh man, my screen just went black. Why did that happen?
I don't know.
That was weird.
But so if your screen's black,
that was very strange. So yeah, so America's number 1, number 3. Then it's number 9 is Russia. This is off the top list, right? And then the next one that's primarily Caucasian is Germany at number 19. And then finally get down to United Kingdom at 21. So 4 out of the top 21 countries. And the combined populations of all the ones I just mentioned, those 4 countries, doesn't even touch either just China or India by itself. So that's what we're looking at, right? That's a big disparity. It's a big disparity. And yeah, going down to top 50, there's like one more country.
So, so this certain group of people have been at the forefront of creating what we know as civilization in the West by building what we built and did what we did. And now for some reason, those countries feel like that there's something that they got to do, that they have to for some reason they have to bring in people. And why is that? Is that because they came to terms with the fact that white people just aren't reproducing in the numbers that they...
Well, that's what I was going to say. That's exactly what I was going to say, is that the interesting demographic that does tie into that is all those countries that I just mentioned, the Caucasian countries that I mentioned, with the exception of the United States, are in decline as far as population growth. In decline. Like they're not keeping the ratio to keep up with the population at all. Not only that, but those countries, and we're just barely there, like maybe matching it, but not quite. We're not growing, right? There's the other factor which is more important, perhaps, and that's the age factor. We're old. These countries are old. A bunch of old white people, man. That's really literally what it is.
Well, I know. That's what I'm saying.
Die off. And the people who are most leveraged to take over as far as youth per capita is Middle East. Middle East has the youngest population on the planet per capita, that demographic.
Mm-hmm.
So add all those countries up, those people have...
Those people
that region of the world. It's incredible. The average age is like 20-something, early 20s, like 21, 22.
And they're Islam, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
They are.
So Christianity and the Western culture over in Europe, it's on its way out. Islam's on its way out. The riots that are going on in Germany, that's what's coming, man. Take a look at some of that. Have anybody heard about the riots in Germany going on?
I have actually.
Yeah. Well, you're about the only one. Nobody in America is hearing anything about it. Yeah, it's pretty intense stuff going on. Now, are these Palestinians? Is this a thing about the Palestinian war? The Israeli-Palestinian conflict? Is that what's going on in Germany? Is that what's going on over there?
There's a couple things going.
What started?
So I'd have to give you the exact thing. There's a couple groups involved, right? It's not just like it ended up being like grab the pitchforks kind of moment. But
that's what I mean. Yeah.
But it was sparked by more than one thing.
But even still, it's honestly, have you seen a small group of people trying to hold back a giant group of people before? Have you ever seen that scenario? It can be done if there's enough fear in the large group of people. You can have a small group of people with arms and standing there with guns and stuff, and they'll keep a crowd at bay until a certain point where they realize there's only so many bullets in that gun, and the minute your gun is empty, everyone has gotten shot already. They're just going to fall down, and the people behind them will just come, and that's it. And so it's just this nonstop flow. It's the same thing with the beatings. There was these protests that were going on in Spain a while back, a couple years ago. And some of these people were, the security people in the front were beating the shit out of people with these clubs. And they would stand there and take a beating and then move out of the way, and someone else would go up there and put their back up there, and they'd take a beating until these cops got tired of beating people. Their arms were getting tired because they were smacking people with these clubs, and then the whole crowd just overran them.
So the spark, that's what I thought was what started it, was that guy drove his car into the crowd in the Christmas market.
Yeah.
And so the people started, originally it was about migration and about that's what kind of sparked it. Was because of that. They were demonstrating against that because why are we letting those people? And it's about immigrants, right? That's exactly what it was about.
Right.
And then because of that, other people started protesting in favor of the Palestinians and other people. So it ended up in this whole thing where just everybody who's pissed off started having an issue, and they're all in the streets, man. If you've seen the pictures, people in the listening audience, you can go look it up. It's pretty amazing. The whole squares. They have a lot of open squares in Europe.
It's like this.
Pedestrian squares.
Say you're living somewhere. You got your little house there. There's your little gas station. There's your little store. You're just living there. And everything's perfect, man. Because everybody does their little thing. And everything's nice. Everybody keeps everything nice. It's just kind of like a common thread that's running through where you live, that everybody sort of, keeps shit a certain way. And it's nice, You can walk your dog. Your kid can go out and play. This kind of shit. But then all of a sudden, what happens? Somebody moves in, just a random person. It doesn't matter where they're from. And they could be immigrants. Maybe they're not. It doesn't matter. They move in. And all of a sudden, they just start throwing their trash around. And they don't give a shit. They don't care. They
don't assimilate to the culture, right?
They don't assimilate to the neighborhood. They now another family moves in, and another family from the same place, and now they got their own little area over there. It's not the same as your area over here. It's kind of segregated because the minute you walk from this place to that place, it turns into shit. It smells like shit. There's piss in the street. There's garbage everywhere. People are sleeping here and there. You know what I mean? There's 50 people living in a one-bedroom house. You know what I mean? This kind of shit.
Yeah. The EU was their screw up, man. It was their screw up. This has nothing to do with race. It has to do with immigrants, but not immigrants. It has to do with people seeking asylum, right?
I'm just saying, the whole idea of civilization is all coming to a common agreement about what is what. Okay?
Russia supported Syria and bombed Aleppo, right? And ran all those people out of Syria with the complete intention of putting all those people in peaceful, I'll call it peaceful Europe, in NATO countries, essentially, specifically starting with Sweden. And it took over Sweden because the idiots at the EU in Brussels decided that, Sweden doesn't really have a culture, so we'll just move them over there. and it basically took over. There's no go zones. They had police-free states where it's just controlled by the refugee population. But
Seriously,
people couldn't go.
What,
the citizens.
What has been pumped up there as the most desired icon of all time is a beautiful blonde woman with blue eyes from Sweden.
From Sweden, I know. ABBA, right?
Right. So, I mean, I'm not saying, I'm just saying that has been the icon. Marilyn Monroe, Jane Mansfield, go on and on and on. What's her nuts? Tommy Lee's girlfriend. Pamela Anderson, name them, go on and go on. And so the thing is that is put up there to men or whatever around the world as the most attainable, what you want to get in your life, the jewel, the thing. And what do they do?
Yeah, the blonde goddess. Yeah.
Right. What do they
really
do?
Reinforce that.
They go over there and they do what they did to Sweden, where people are just literally getting raped and shit. Right on the street.
Yeah, I mean, I was a listener and subscriber to Red Ice Radio back in the day, and I was really depressed to hear his name, Holmgren. I forget how you pronounce his name. But anyway, the host there and his girlfriend, I think his wife now, used to host the show. It went totally anti-brown people, essentially, right? And it was all about them coming into Sweden and taking over the place with these refugees. And at the time, I thought, man, these guys are taking a really far-right turn. But the more you listen to what they were saying, especially in retrospect, and now we know that this was actually a plan on the part of Russia when they were trying to, literally Russia, right, to destabilize the West, right, by sending over the refugees. It was all part of this plan. And Assad was on.
I forget the name. I forget the name of this communist idea of how to take, start taking a country apart, bringing it down. And one of the ways is to flood its social safety net system with people, so that the country has to spend all this money taking care of these people, and it starts to degrade the financial situation for the country. So I can understand what you're saying there as a specific plan. So it's not, I don't find you to be just pulling that out of your ass just to go after Russia. I think that's a solid.
No, it's legit.
Yeah. No, I mean, we all know you don't like Russia, but But here's the thing.
I mean, that was specific. I mean, it's been talked about now, but here it is 20 years, not 20 years. It seems like 20 years, right? We're talking about memory holding things, right? It's only been like less than 10, right? But, starting with Aleppo, the image, the meme of the drowned little boy, 4-year-old boy on the beach, right? Trying the refugee.
Yeah.
They got everybody to go in there.
And
they took over Sweden, literally. It was Heinrich Palmgren, that's his name, right? Along with his it's his wife. Might as well be wife if they're not married. But it was a great show, man. I loved all the esoteric content and stuff, and they just went all full bore on this, anti-immigrant sound. It sounded pretty bad.
Okay, so where is Elon Musk on this whole apartheid situation?
Oh, he's all for it, man. He's an apartheid guy. He was, going to space camp here in America because he's rich.
Well, the thing is about this apartheid,
country's still apartheid.
But it says what I was saying earlier, where is this is being given up to people. So whatever these major centers of Western civilization as it has existed is now being turned over to a new group of people. They're handing it over to them. They're handing it over to them in South Africa, the new group of people. They're handing over shit. They're giving people shit over to other people. They're just going, here, take it. And so one of the things, and I don't know if you remember doing this show, but we did a show about a specific United Nations document, which I can't remember the name of it, but it was where every country on Earth was going to turn their land and rights to the land back over to the indigenous peoples. Now, I can't remember the name of this thing, but Canada had signed.
I remember the show. It was like 2 years ago, I think.
Yeah, Canada signed on to it. About every country had signed on to it.
And we read it. And
It was during the Michelle Pfeiffer incident too.
Yeah.
And so we were thinking that the reason, we were looking at it and we thought that the law and the way that it was being written, once the land had been turned back over to the indigenous peoples, then they could require you, because you live here, to have a passport to move around. And so that's what we were thinking. They were going to use that law to send stuff back and forth. That way they could just, use it to make you have an ID.
We tied it into these zones, right? 200 miles from the border, 200 miles out to sea, or 100 miles inside the border, and 200 miles out to sea, right? That where they're free, not the free zones, they're free of the government's control as far as like border patrol and what we call ICE here, but the same kind of thing. They don't have the same rules and restrictions as the normal rest of the country does here in America. They're trying to make that everywhere, and we're tying that into how at the time in South Africa, all the new political party that had come into power was going in and just running people off their land and taking their houses. Very much like Sweden.
Right.
It happened to Sweden. Sweden, the government just gave it to the refugees, right?
Mm.
But very, very similar. It just sounds like, it's panic from the, it's the very thing that, a lot of people who voted for Trump rent. They voted for him because of this. They have that fear of the outsider coming in and taking what's theirs, right? And that's basically nativism being played on. And that's exactly why he got elected. I mean, forget everything else. That's why he got elected, right? So when back in Elon say, hey, let's bring in the immigrants.
Bruce,
it's like they're stabbing him in the heart, man.
Bruce McDonald's over there in the chat. I don't know.
So Bruce.
Hey, Caitlin, good to see you. So hey, if you wanna come on, Bruce, just give a call. Give a call if you want to join us. I'm not sure what that actually means in there. So anyways, back to this now. So now you have this whole idea of these crushing of the old systems and the bringing in of these new people into an area that don't value the same society in the same way that we do. You know what I'm saying? It's like a hang on a second. Is he there? Bruce, you there?
I see him.
Bruce.
Yeah.
You there?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, what's happening, man? Happy New Year coming up. Merry Christmas.
Yeah, same to you guys.
So things.
I was just listening. I saw that you were going live, and I just tuned in, and I thought it would be a good night to call in. There's a lot going on.
Yeah.
And I think within 2 years we're going to be countrymen.
You think?
We'll be down Costa Rica.
I got this weird intuition about what's going on. It's not fully rational because nobody's declared it, but if you look at the chess moves, you can make an educated guess. And I think Trump and his team and a certain contingent of Washington, including the intelligence agencies, have decided it's time to shore up the American continent from Canada to Argentina.
Yeah, I think you're right.
So you got him out there talking about dissolving the Canadian border.
Right.
And he'd really end up adding about 10 more governors because every state would have a governor. It wouldn't just be one governor. But I love the way he dished Justin Trudeau with that. I fucking loathe. There hasn't been a political leader in my life I've loathed more than Justin Trudeau. And then you got the Panama Canal.
Yeah.
And then you've got Milei in Argentina. Start to connect the dots.
It's the North
and
American.
Did I not say this on Rev Radio in like 2018, 2019? An intelligent leader would shore up the continent. We have everything we need here.
Yeah. Well, and then
what would we be missing? Maybe kiwis from Australia is the only fruit we wouldn't have.
Well, and then
They'll be
you
the
got to
solos,
add
right?
in,
They'll be
you
the
got to
ones-
add Mexico into that too, because there has been, and it's an old conspiracy theory from 30 years ago, but there was this North American Union that was going to be part of the 10 regions of this, United Nations world order. So there's going to be 10 regions, and this was going to be the North American Union. They started building that highway from Mexico all the way through Canada, through Texas. Remember all that? The Amero they were saying.
So
I think you're right.
Let's start being a little bit not ethnocentric, because we're beyond ethnicities. And North America in particular is beyond ethnicities. It's a multiplicity of peoples that have melded into one culture. But let's be culturally centric for a moment.
Yeah.
What would you do if you were a guy as sharp, as cutthroat, and as business-oriented as Trump? So people are saying BRICS is a threat. Well, I would show the world how BRICS is not a threat. I would shore up an American economy and let India and China and Russia slowly fade away, because they can't invent anything. Any money in India or China now is based on knockoff technology that was invented in the West, whether it's YY and the networks or whatever the hell India does, robbing software jobs from North Americans by running satellite offices out of Bangalore. No matter, we've been really hard on ourselves. And we've gone through a deep period of introspection as North Americans. And we've looked at our shadow. Let's be honest. We've done the Jungian shadow work. That's what this whole journey with the left was about. But now it's time for reality. China, Russia, and India have nothing to offer the world. What the fuck have they invented in the... Sorry, are we on the radio?
Yeah.
Or just YouTube?
Yeah, it's okay.
What the fuck have they invented in the last 50 years? Nothing. Did
Well,
they
see,
invent
that's
the
the
computer?
thing.
No.
That's the thing, too.
Nothing.
That's the thing, too, Bruce, is that, this last election, it was about capital and labor, right?
Yeah.
But moving into the 2025 and beyond, labor is almost not going to be existent in the future. Because a lot of the, one of the things Musk wants to do is go in and cut government spending on these people, right? So because most of what these people do is, can be done. And so the thing is that's what is going to be left for people to actually do, and then who's going to be the ones doing it. So we were trying to break down these countries, and Epic Journeyman pointed out that the Middle East has the youngest population, which is a bunch of 20-year-olds.
I heard that.
Yeah. So I mean, what are people going to do for money? I mean, what is the necessity to bring in immigrants into these Western regions that and flood this area? What would you think would be the reason for that? Because I don't see the need for the labor to do anything. What are they going to do?
Well, I don't think they can come out and say the truth. And the truth is that if you look at it as a financial model, we don't have enough people in the next generation to support the social programs we promised the baby boomers and Gen X. And there's also a little bit, if you want to get into the whole Kalergi plan, there's also a little bit of the desire to wipe out the concentrated power of European Christian culture, which is the most, buenas noches, buenas noches, no mucho sonido, okay, tu tía dormir, which is the most concentrated pocket of inventiveness in the world. And nobody can take that away from us, okay?
No.
And I am so sick of people shitting on themselves just because they've had this guilt trip put on them by pseudo-communists who don't have the guts to come out and say they're communists.
I know.
And, to her credit, and I applaud her for this, at least Kamala Harris came more out onto the red carpet, and I mean red in a specific way, than anybody else.
Right.
Right? She was quoting Marx all through the campaign, unburdened by the past.
Right.
So, you know,
yeah, right.
And I thought, you know what? Good for her. At least she had the balls to come out and say it. You know, whatever you're going to do, don't lie to people.
Yeah,
because
I mean, in other countries, you know, they have socialists, they have conservatives. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
They have communists.
Yeah.
They have Nazis. These people are there.
Used to have communists here. It was the Communist Party.
Yeah, exactly. You know, what's interesting too, Bruce, is we were breaking down these demographics of the world. I wanted to see, you know, how many white people there are, how many blacks, how many, you know, and Epic was like feeling bad about saying it. Like we've been beaten into this. You know, we've been pounded by this programming stuff that has made you feel bad about even just saying the color in a demographic demonstration. Yeah. So there's
absolutely. But the reason our birth rate fell so low is to responsibly raise children in North America. It's really expensive. You've got to save money for a university education. There's a big difference between having 1 or 2 kids in a middle or upper middle class European home or European centric home in Canada or the United States than having 9 kids on an abaca farm in Costa Rica, right?
Yeah.
You know, I mean, my father-in-law raised 11 kids on occasionally cutting down expensive hardwood and selling it and supplementing the diet with whatever he could hunt on the mountain. You know, my wife grew up on piscuate, which in English is a tapir, and wild pig. You know, hunted with dogs and rifles. You can't do that in North America as much as they'd like to think they can in Alabama and North Carolina and other places. You know, I mean, but Joe Rogan helicopters to the places he goes hunting. I mean, it's a sport. It's not for sustenance. It's a sport, right? Yeah. So listen, I want to give you guys a heads up on something else. Something big is going down with the cartels, man. I think that this is going to be like Game of Thrones level stuff because the cartels are significantly embedded in every major city in the United States now, and in local, state, and federal politics. They're paying bribes now. They have to be the most successful criminal organization to invade the United States in the history of the country, and they're also backed by Chinese intelligence now in China. They've got Chinese satellite support, everything, right? And I think as much as a certain side of the CIA has been completely corrupt, I think there's another side of the CIA that's just been sitting back and watching these libtards try to run the country and realizing what real defense is and what a real threat is, as opposed to people don't even know anymore because we've been living on false flags since 2001. But we have real threats now. Trump and a bunch of other people, and this is being organized as we speak, are going to jump on these cartels hard with both feet. And I don't even think there's going to be much due process. I think it's going to be like Delta Force and stuff like that. Satellite and drone targeting. I think the kid gloves are coming off. Holman's going to come back with a report saying that these children were brought to the border by the 4 major cartels in Mexico, and they've profited billions from it. The information's going to go public in a formal way. It's already in TV shows. And people are just going to say, okay, enough is enough. And even the most ardent liberals are going to say, okay, enough is enough, right? And in Costa Rica, about 3 months ago, the president finally gave the national police what they've been asking for at least a decade, which is the right to work with automatic weapons because they're outgunned by the Costa Rican chapter of the Sinaloan cartels. There are gunfights between gangs and the police station in the town I do my grocery shopping. Not all the time. It's happened about 2 or 3 times in the 7-8 years I've been here. But and I mean, enough. How much of this shit are you going to take? How far are you going to take this liberal experiment?
That's what I mean. It's like that's what I was driving at this earlier. Why has this taken place? In other words, at some point, we had a grip.
We're at that. Right? Yeah, we're at that Kurt Russell moment in Tombstone where he finally loses his patience, and there's that classic line: "You wanted the thunder, you got it."
Right.
Okay. We tried to be.
Coming. Yeah. Right.
Yeah, and it's going to be a massacre. And then Bukele, the president of El Salvador, came to Costa Rica. They gave him the highest honor they can give a visiting dignitary. They've never even given it to a U.S. president. This guy was feted like you cannot believe. And then President Chavez of Costa Rica gives this inspired, impassioned speech about how this guy literally performed a miracle in El Salvador.
Yeah.
And this is about 8 weeks
comment on that.
after he changed the law to give the National Police automatic weapons here. Then you listen to what Trump is saying. You look at Holman as the head of Border Patrol, and you can see what's coming. I mean, so we're in a new phase of human evolution now. We are no longer in nation-to-nation war. We are in corporation to criminal organization war now.
Yeah.
Or corporation.
hang on a second.
El Salvador.
I was going to say something about our border with Mexico, and the Mexican cartels, and tying back into what we were saying earlier about the North American Union, because if Trump is able to declare the cartels as a terrorist organization, then he can utilize our military and go over Mexico's border and go after the cartels. And so
he's going to do it. Mark my words. I mean, I can hardly wait till January 20th. I know you guys wanted a Kamala Harris, Tim Walz outcome, but
I didn't want that outcome.
I think by the end of 2025,
I didn't want that outcome.
And I don't mean to rub salt in a wound, but you're going to have to admit I was right, and that Trump was the best choice. Now, is he going to do stuff we all hate? Absolutely.
Of course he is.
Absolutely.
Yeah, nobody.
He can't help but be himself. He's an idiot, right?
He's a 9-year-old
he's
child.
The idiot.
Yeah, exactly.
He's the idiot we need right now.
Well,
but as far as Bukele goes, before we lose the El Salvador tract, I wanted to bring this up because I think it's an important thing that's going on as far as the subterfuge being infiltrated into our government and across the world by what we affectionately called detectives.
Hey, it's a break.
It's
hey,
Bitcoin.
It's a break. We'll be right back.
Yep.
Radio at freedomslips.com. We'll be right back after this message.
Did you ever feel that things were not quite right? That everything was just ever so slightly askew?
Do you have, to paraphrase Morpheus, a splinter in your mind?
If you're interested in hearing the latest information about UFOs, the paranormal,
ancient cultures and structures,
monatomic elements,
longevity,
fantastic discoveries in science,
download it to your brain,
then tune into us. Hi, I'm Dave.
And I'm Mackie.
And we are Shiny Side Out, Sundays 2 to 4 a.m. Eastern. See you then.
Revolution Radio, freedomslips.com. You don't need to expect us. We're already here.
If you're sick of the lies and ready to know thyself, to love thyself, well then tune in to the Loveolution with your hosts, Amy and John Paul, where we speak all about truth, love, and freedom every Tuesday Thursday night, 5 to 6 p.m. Eastern Time, Studio A, right here on Revolution Radio. And remember, only you can free your mind control. Be a Levolutionary.
Welcome to Coffee Rants with Dan. I am the spiritual anarchist, Dan Arnold, your host. Tune in for what's really happening every Thursday. That's Thursday at 9 a.m. in Studio A on Revolution Radio. They keep us in fear to manipulate us. They want us ignorant so we're easier to enslave. They make us murder one another so they don't have to do it themselves. Only you can break their mind control by healing the contradictions within your belief systems that allow you to accept their lies in the first place. The time has come for us to remember our divinity, who we really are, to return to what we are meant to be, a service to others, to return to nature, and to reclaim our birthright, that which is freedom. The truth will sound belligerent because it is in direct opposition to lies. So get angry, because anger is sacred, and together we can unite and rise. Rise from this darkness. Humanity, assemble.
Do you love topics about history, world events, popular conspiracies, and everything under the sun, while discussing their historical context? Then welcome your host, Trinity, where no topic is off the table, truth is spoken to power, and where your voice can be heard. Here is where you can communicate openly and learn from one another, while respecting our diverse society and figuring out the truth to where we're heading. Join Trinity in a 2-hour roller coaster ride of research, comedy, and interesting content. Made with you in mind, people that matter the most. On Mondays at 12 a.m. Eastern and 11 p.m. Central, only on Revolution Radio Studio B. Be a part of a different way to hear radio.
Check in every Thursday night for the Crypt Rick and Jonathan Show.
Studio A, 6 to 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, right here at the #1 listener-supported radio station, Revolution Radio.
I want to thank everybody for listening to Revolution Radio at freedomslips.com, the one place where information never sleeps. Revolution Radio.
All right, let's show them what we got here.
All right, thanks for listening while we took that short break here at Revolution Radio, freedomslips.com. And yeah, we're going to get back to your host.
Friday night, hour number 2. Well, 2024 is about to go down the memory hole. Will you still be alive in 2025? And that ain't no jive. So I was looking at a report earlier that was being passed around of this WEF document that was talking about how many it was aligning with this Deagle paper that lots of people reference. And so like coming up here into 2025, 2026, there's a projection of how many people are going to pass away. And I'm wondering, I mean, it's just dawning on me now, but I'm kind of wondering, like, was it the Western populations that were, these Western European populations, are these the ones that partook in the Michelle Pfeiffer experiment? I'm starting to wonder. Yeah. I'm starting to wonder if that white demographic was heavily Michelle Pfeiffered.
Well, we kind of left them hanging, or I left them hanging because of the break on the El Salvador thing, and I don't think we should leave that just. Yeah, we're going to leave it, but I just want to clarify. So Bukele, right? That's how I pronounce it. Bruce Bukele, right? Bukele, I think is his name, the president, and he was the first. Is president of the first nation to ever adopt Bitcoin as the official currency. And that's significant because from the moment he did that, all the what we affectionately call tech bros now, if they didn't, started to begin with, really started investing in there. And a lot of this growth we see in El Salvador, this interest in El Salvador, and especially from people working in and around Trump's inner circle, prop up El Salvador in their rhetoric because of this, right? Because whether it be specifically Bitcoin, it's just cryptocurrencies in general, and I think the latter, cryptocurrencies in general, there's this big move to push that into this consolidating method of bringing about the North American continents into unity around this one currency, whether it be a CBDC or whether it be an actual unrestricted crypto. I doubt it will be the latter on that either. I think it'll be a CBDC of some kind.
Well, hey, Bruce,
but that's why the interest in El Salvador. It's not just the machine guns taking on the guys in the street. I don't think, Bruce. I think it has to do a lot with that.
Well, listen,
this idea of making it the civilized world's first venture into cryptocurrencies,
right? And you got the dark, you got the dark MAGA transition team, right? So you have Elon Musk is in there, Vivek Ramaswamy's over there. You got the Vice President J.D. Vance, like highly involved with Peter Thiel.
All the PayPal crew,
yeah. So you see this big surge in the crypto markets earlier, a couple months ago. There's a big surge, and there's been a lot of talk that as soon as Trump comes in, what he's going to do is he's going to make moves to make cryptocurrency happen and make it be more viable, and that's great, And so there's
However, there are strong indications they do not want it to be a transactional currency, but a storage of wealth like gold or silver. Okay? They're encouraging everybody to buy Bitcoin, but they don't want an infrastructure to use it in place.
No, Bitcoin's
to use it to buy a coffee.
No, Bitcoin's like gold. So what they do is you have XRP, you have Ethereum, and you have these other coins, and then those coins have coins associated with a dollar. It's called a stable coin. So so the stable coin will be worth $1 in whatever country you're in. Whatever dollar you need to use, there'll be a stable coin that's worth exactly the dollar. But Bitcoin is like gold. It's sitting over there. It's worth more than $1. You know what I mean? It is like the storage of wealth, and that's what the rumors are.
Currency,
right. So the rumors are that Trump, and this is why you saw him actually say, "You're welcome" on his Twitter or on his X. He said, "You're welcome" when Bitcoin broke over $100,000 because the talk is that he was going to buy Bitcoin and use it for a reserve here in America, United States. And then since then they backtracked on it and they say he's not going to do it. And so there's this whole wondering. But I mean, we see clearly that with Elon Musk there and the people that are on board, it's tech all the way, right? I mean, they're moving into they're moving into the future now. The future is now, but there's a big potential for other stuff to go on in the world to stop all that, and I think that's some of the things.
So,
go ahead.
Do you guys know about like currencies in this part of the world? Like, so Panama has no domestic currency. They use the U.S. dollar.
Right, yeah.
El Salvador has no domestic currency. They use the U.S. dollar. I think Guatemala as well. I think Belize as well. It may be only Costa Rica that has its own currency. Nicaragua has a currency, the Cordova. So it might just be Nicaragua and Costa Rica that have their own currencies. So it's already ripe for like a U.S. amalgamation. So mark my words. I mean, I hate people who say I told you so, but I told you so. Everything I've been saying since 2018 is coming true now. They are going to break ground on the third temple of Solomon by 2027 at the latest. Okay, and Trump is going to broker that too. Because I think the Greater Israel Project is a red herring. I think really what they want is the temple. And there's reasons they want it, because symbolically it represents the complete and total reconstitution of the culture they lost in 72 AD. By the way, have either of you guys ever read any of the first-hand accounts about the months and weeks leading up to and the weeks and months after the destruction of the Temple of Solomon?
No.
Well, let me just put it to you this way.
Yes, I have, but only from the official account. Yeah.
It's an almost one-to-one match for what's happening over New Jersey now, except they couch it in certain language. The armies of heaven gathered in the sky.
Mm-hmm.
There were lights. I mean, this stuff's all connected. What the human race is going through now. And not everybody's ready for it, and that's why the cull is coming. But what the human race is going through now is the fourth dimension. And that's why so many people are having weird dreams and weird paranormal experiences and all this stuff. We're going to jump right over the fourth dimension and go right into the time dimension at the consciousness level, those of us who persist. And this will bring about a new golden age on the other side. But all of these things are happening, and they're all symbolic of the death of the fourth dimension as a cultural phenomenon or as the apex of our perception. And whether you realize it or not, if you're in an Abrahamic religion, you've pretty much been worshiping an astral entity for the last 2,000 years. It's not necessarily misplaced. It may very well be the ruler of the astral plane, because every dimension has an absolute ruler, including the physical world and including this planet. This planet has a head human who commiserates and interacts with forces and entities that are non-physical and non-human.
Mm-hmm.
And it's the same thing on the astral. So this is the biggest leap forward in human evolution. Now, generally, when we hit this point, there's a major rollback, and this was the flood. Atlantis got spanked really bad, but this time it's going to go through, and a whole human consciousness, a group of human beings, probably somewhere between 500 and 1 billion people, are going to go through all of this, have memory of it, and the generations to come will have full knowledge of it. Whereas in the past, the destruction has been so nearly complete, whether it be the story of Gilgamesh or the story of Noah's Ark or what have you,
right.
You get this tiny remnant of human beings that have to basically start at the beginning again and learn how to make fire with 2 sticks.
Well, what's interesting is Generation Z, and then the next generation is Generation Alpha.
Yeah.
And so
yeah, I wonder
it's an interesting.
Sorry, go ahead.
No, I was saying it's just interesting based on what you're saying, and I also wanted to say last week on the show, we brought up that there was a lot of these drones, but there was a difference, a distinct difference between the drones and the orbs, and then when you were just mentioning the rebuilding of the temple, in my mind I remembered there was an orb event over the Temple Mount a few years ago.
Yep.
There was like this whole thing that happened with this orb over the Temple Mount. So it's interesting. That what you're saying there, I think, is
when you study the secret society material that comes off of the Kabbalah, and the one I'm most familiar with is the Martinist material. They do an entire series of lectures on the world of orbs. This has been known for centuries. This is why people like Leo Zagami are so sketchy and fork-tongued when they talk about extraterrestrials, because they don't want to give away the stuff that they're sworn to keep secret, but they also want to jump in on the ET narrative, right? And that's That's why, and that's why it goes down that way. But anyone who's been meditating consistently and diligently and sincerely with their whole heart for at least a year or two has experiences with orbs. You generally begin to experience them internally. So you go into meditation and you start to see the orbs in your forehead, but it's not just lights from your brain. They're really orbs. And the orbs are living consciousness. They're like a plasma being, and they're fully formed, but they appear as an orb when you first encounter them, because your consciousness can't decode their real form. But to let you know, they're real
messengers, right?
Yeah, they're messengers. Yeah,
You know what's interesting now? There was a couple. I'll bring this up, because this is what's happening right now that ties into what you're saying. Because there was a couple of people. One woman reported that she saw one of these orbs, and she tried to contact it, like with her mind, and she saw a literal eyeball come up and like into the center of the orb, like it looked like an eyeball. And then there was somebody else that said, I think they said something about Jesus, and and the orb blinked back at them when they said it. Which I thought
I've seen that. She had her 3-year-old daughter talk to the orb. Yeah, and it blinked back. They're fully conscious, right? I saw that video. I actually talked about it on my podcast.
Oh, you did?
And yeah, and the thing is, the orb is far enough away. So I pointed out to my listeners, look, if this was a technology and they were using an acoustic technology, how did they isolate that child's voice 15, 20 kilometers away and block out all the car radios right underneath the orb, like maybe a half a kilometer down, 500 meters down, or 1,000 meters down from where it was in the sky? Because that would be the closest sound for any kind of technological device. So what it establishes is a consciousness connection. And this is the thing that has confused people the most about this. What begins to happen when you have multidimensional experiences is the subject-object relationship collapses. And when you're living in 3D consciousness, this is terrifying. When you think about it, it's the basis of every horror movie you've seen in the last 15 years. Whether it be Paranormal Activity, Insidious, or what have you. What is the one trick they always use? The entity is simultaneously in them and outside as a paranormal phenomenon. The best interpretation I've ever seen of it is The Changeling with George C. Scott from like 1979. Maybe one of the best ghost stories ever made into a film.
I have a third dimension, fourth dimensional tie-in to the history of Jews, as mentioned and written about by Josephus, if I may, for a second. Yeah. When I say the historical record, that's what I was referring to. And I don't put a lot of credence to what he says. I think he was a traitor, actually. Became a Roman, right? I mean, but I think happened with the siege of Jerusalem in 70 AD. It went for more years than that, but it finally was destroyed in 70 AD. If we talk about the temple, we've talked about, as Kev Baker brought up, the actual footprint of the temple of Jerusalem, it mimics exactly that of a quantum chip.
Yeah, the chip.
Exactly, it does, right? So we talk about third to fourth dimensional hierarchy being connected at that region of the world, specifically to the temple of Jerusalem, where you had this open window to the fourth dimension that was accessible. Yeah. And those things were interchanging, the messengers, the orbs of God, the messengers, the angels, right? We're coming back and forth. The voice of God came through. In this particular place, this region of the world, because this was built there, became a particular interest because it was a method of us transitioning as a race even to that next level. There's other people who achieve higher levels of consciousness too. I'm not saying it's the only place, but I'm saying it became a particular interest to knock us back to the third dimension realm where it's controlled. Right. So when the temple was destroyed in 70 AD, it took us back a step. And the reconstruction of the temple is trying to bring that back. Right. So
absolutely
under control.
Isn't the Gnostic Gospels, didn't we fall from the fourth to the third dimension in that also?
Well, I'm reminded of the interview our friend, and in particular your friend, Kev Baker, did with that engineer Geordie, who was working on the quantum computer.
Yeah.
And what's interesting is we're doing the same thing, we're just doing it a little bit differently. In the past, human beings communicated with the fourth dimension through ritual. Now we're on the cusp of doing it with technology. And the difference is the technology access to communicate with someone 1,000 kilometers away 500 years ago. You had to be an advanced mystic that could communicate consciousness to consciousness, and the receiving consciousness had to be of equal receptivity and capability to interpret the passage of thought from another human consciousness. And only certain people could do it. And the last druid, if you've ever seen that documentary, he said the order died off because of all the electromagnetic fields they created, and they could no longer practice their telepathy. Very interesting.
They cut the ley lines. Cut the ley lines.
Yeah,
all the power lines. Yep.
But here's the thing. In the past, it's like being a killer in the past. I mean, you wanted to be a killer in Japan in 1550. You better have like 10,000 hours of sword practice under your belt. Now we just have a gun, and any 14-year-old kid can kill you. We're about to open up the fourth dimension to every goof on the planet, just like a cell phone made everybody capable of communicating 1,000 kilometers apart, right? And so it's kind of like, in many ways, it's like giving people stuff that they might not be ready for. But it's coming nonetheless, and the people who are not ready for it, I think they're going to be part of the Deagle list. And I mean, and just reincarnated into a reality that's more suitable for them. But there's a lot of weird shit going on this planet. There's been a lot of, let's call it, astral immigration over the last 20,000 years, and especially after the flood 6,000 years ago. There's been a lot of flood for some part of the world, ice age for the other. There was a lot of astral immigration. And what happens in astral immigration is races come in, they sit in the earth astral, and then they incarnate into human bodies. So they look like us, they talk like us, they walk like us, but they're not really from here. And the disparity in consciousness on this planet is so great now that it can't be reconciled. And that's part of the reason for the cull. And I don't mean to be cavalier about this. I don't mean to sound like a CIA director, well,
but
shit happens.
So listen, Solomon's Temple was achieving, penetrating through other dimensions, correct?
Well, I think mainly the fourth.
Okay, and so now we see what we're describing is this was done with people and powers that were held within the person, whoever the lead person is leading this ritual that's going on, that's creating this magic, that's making this thing happen. And and that's the way it was in days of old. But now Geordie Rose has taken the exact design of that temple and made the main chip or the processor for his quantum computer is the same exact thing. And I want to add, it's made with gold, right? So it's paved. The streets are paved with gold.
So
it's the Holy of Holies, right? Protected by the zero, absolute zero temperature. And he called them the old ones, the things that were coming in, is interacting with. He didn't call them demons. He called them the old ones.
There's a bunch of quantum news that's happened in the last week or so. I mean, I don't know if you've seen any of this stuff from Google where they're literally now, claiming that they're using another dimension just to, store information. They're utilizing it right now with technology that they have. They're doing it right now.
Yeah.
I just cleared out my storage.
Just clean my storage.
So,
well, good.
Most, if not all, of the Jewish communication with non-physical entities has been with astral and, for the most part, low astral. And the signature of low astral is a kind of mercantile relationship in which something has to be proffered to receive the favor of these so-called gods. And what we've been proffering, all of us, 3,000 years ago, and now just the Jews, as they want to get their temple back up and running for its original purpose, I might add. We've been proffering blood, and we've been proffering human sacrifice, it's a spirit, and it's not just unique to the Jews, or to the Jews who still want the blood rituals. There were no Jews with the Aztecs, and they figured it out. There were, you know, so it's like a spirit that kind of roams around the world, and it's very mercantile. That's the best way to think about it. It's the people who want to trade are the most likely to interact with it because they want to trade. This is the secret of black magic. You give something, you get something, right? And this is all going away too, by the way. The Jews are going to finish their cycle. They're going to get their temple, and it's going to be the ultimate example of be careful what you wish for.
Yeah.
Because it's going to go a lot differently in 2027 or 2028 than it did when they built the last one in whatever, 200-300 BC. I'm not sure when they built it. Have you guys ever studied
what I was going to ask
the construction process for the temple? Like how, there's a way
there's-
the stones have to be cut. Like the whole thing is a magical ritual.
And there's a thing that says that the temple has already been pre-constructed and it's modular, and that it'll be able to be constructed super rapid style. But I was looking into something for some reason about the temple a couple weeks ago, and I found this. Did you know that there's a whole thing going on with the rabbis already? There's already like an underground thing that's happening. It's as though it exists, but it's not in the temple itself. I had no idea.
I think it's portable, man. I think the whole idea of this quantum kind of idea is it's not just a location. I mean, that may be the touchstone, so to speak, but I was thinking about the Choshen, the breastplate that the priest wore that would light up. The high priest would come out there and would speak to God, and then the stones would light up and illuminate, like shine, right, in different patterns that would answer the questions. And it occurred to me that maybe they're not the chosen people after all; they're the Choshen people, right? that maybe that's actually the meaning, right? The temporal reality that we're in is held together in another reality by this matrix of. They call them stones. I don't think they're stones at all. I think they're actually, gateways that shine.
Well,
to
now,
the dimension.
Now, what does Enochian magic have to do with these orbs? Because
Enochian magic is also a variation of the Jewish magic, which got mainly wrapped up in, it's the Book of Enoch, first off. And the rabbis have been in possession of that for who knows how long, millennia. And it was left out of the Christian canon, but it's a very important book. And it also is a magical text. It fits very well into the Zohar and the Kabbalah.
Mm-hmm.
And so there's no doubt in my mind that John Dee and Kelly were probably trained by a rabbi, because there's no way you could figure this crap out yourself, right? There's like no way. It's like it, and human beings didn't figure this out. It was given to us by other beings. Okay, you fill in the blank, angel, demon, or extraterrestrial. John Edmonds told me unequivocally that the black magic was given to the human race by the reptilians. But these things are all given to us. Like, how do you figure out black magic? It's just, you can figure out gravity. You just kind of clue in and realize, hey, something's pulling stuff down to the ground. But there's no way you could figure out black magic. It's too complex. And this Enochian magic, black magic is like grade 3 math. Enochian magic is like postdoctoral calculus.
Yeah.
I mean, extremely dangerous too.
And for some reason, just because I can't recall the exact detail of this moment, but for some reason I'm remembering Enochian magic in these orbs. And that has something to do with being able to speak this language and being able to attain frequencies that are able to communicate.
Do you remember that guy who used to come on once in a while and people would sort of just go slack-jawed when he started speaking the Greek?
No, I don't remember the Greek.
He came on Rev Radio and a few times, but he could actually call orbs in. I know people who can call orbs in, Bob's friend in Kiahi in Hawaii can do it. There's a way to speak to them, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so, like everything, some of them are good and some of them are bad, just like human beings. we have this tendency when we look at the other to label them all the same thing, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then we look at human beings and we go, and no matter what you're looking at, when people start talking about the Jews and they're anti-Semitic and they get really negative, well, I'm sorry, man. I've met illuminated Torah Jews with the light of God in them. The path works. There just happens to be some very bad apples in the barrel. Same thing with the Vatican. Same thing. Everything is cleaved down the middle now. NSA, CIA, Jewish culture, Catholic culture, Anglican culture. You see this war everywhere, right? You remember when Cardinal Vigano got excommunicated about 6 or 8 weeks ago? He wrote this scathing article, and Pope Francis's real name is Father Berglione. He's Argentinian, and he referred to his papacy as the Berglione Sanhedrin.
Yeah. Well, I saw that thing the other day that the Pope opened the portal. Did you see this?
Yeah, that's low level shit. That dude's got no
but
power.
I just think it's funny. There's like, hey, the Pope's opening a portal.
Five.
Yeah.
Five, actually. Yeah.
Yeah, that's what I mean. The 5. He opened up 5 portals. Did you see the video of it? Because there's a weird noise in the video. There's a weird sound that happens. So obviously, lots of people were clamoring about the fact that he's over there opening up portals and so on and so forth. But I mean, if he can open up portals, what the fuck do we need CERN for?
Yeah.
The Pope's opening up portals. Like the kind of power that's needed for CERN to open up a portal is really, to me, mind blowing and interesting in the sense that because you can see from antiquity a lot of these portals that were made of stone with writing on them, just like like a TV show where they're diving through there and it's like a thing. But what's interesting is that you see artwork that's made to replicate these portals, and you see artwork where big giant beings are popping out of these portals, And when I think about a portal, we're thinking about it in reference to this. At least when I do, I'm thinking about it in reference to this artwork, but maybe a portal is not that. Maybe a portal is like an orb itself. Like, for example, there was a movie where John Travolta, he's like some simple guy in some town doing something. He's a mechanic. And one night he's looking up in the sky, and he sees something. And then all of a sudden this big bright light just comes down and goes boom, and just hits him in the face. And he wakes up.
Yeah.
Remember that movie? And then all
Phenomenon.
Phenomenon, exactly. And then all of a sudden he could sense everything. You know what I mean?
Yeah, he can learn a language in a day. He gets super smart. Then he gets this brain tumor and dies. But that was a great concept film. But look, we don't want to scare people. This is hands down the most exciting and stimulating human incarnation in probably 100,000 or maybe even 1,000,000 years. I don't like to be alive now, and depending on health, to be able to say that you're going to be alive for the next 20 years. This is the biggest show in the universe now. This is huge. What's going on this planet, and it's just amazing, amazing, and it's exciting. And if you have the eyes to see it, it's very, very beautiful. And if you're in grace, if you have the divine, which is unconditional love, and here it's unconditional love for life. Like if you love being alive, it's a beautiful time to be alive, and nothing bad will happen to you. But there's a lot of people that are, I mean, as this thing amps up, man, it's just going to be, as Dickens said, it's the best of times and the worst of times. You're going to see miracles, and you're going to see biblical level wipeouts like Sodom and Gomorrah.
Well, conceptually, what I'm seeing is we were talking about at the beginning of the show. We've been talking about it in a way all the way through, and now, so there's something that's definitely being destroyed, And what's being destroyed is where the people that have controlled everything live and be. So the thing is, if they're setting that all up to be completely overrun and destroyed, then where is it exactly that they're going? Because they must have some place that they go or that they'll be where there's none of this is going to be happening to them. You know what I'm saying, Bruce?
Yeah, I think their main. So I think some of them are going to go off planet, whether it be an orbiting, life-sustaining ship that's going around the Earth. They can go to Mars. There's habitation on Mars, or if they stay here, I think it depends what class of being you are in their system, but their system's going to get the shit kicked out of it because the negative stuff is just not going to be tolerated anymore. And some of them are going to go underground, but I don't think the underground ones are going to fare that well. I think there's no way you could plan for 10, 15, 20 years underground. And there'll be some parts of the Earth where you're going to be able to live above ground. And I don't think it's where people think. People say it's going to get really hot. And, in the prophecies, they talk about the next destruction coming by fire. And I don't think that necessarily refers to something man-made like a nuclear exchange. I think it has more to do with the sun. But it's not going to be just like the flood wasn't the whole Earth. It's not going to be the whole Earth, right? And it's just, But I'm circling back to something more practical. I mean, we're almost at 2025 now, and we start to have to start asking when those Deagle.com numbers are going to start coming out and the WEF numbers. Right? When they say by 2025, do they mean by January 1st, 2025 or December 31st, 2025, end of 2025? They never made that clear.
No.
But they're nowhere near. I mean, they've definitely, I think, increased the natural death rate by 400% based on actuarial statistics, largely due to Catherine and Michelle Pfeiffer. But they're nowhere near their numbers. America is supposed to get down to 98 million.
Well, listen to this, man. The stuff that's coming out right now, stuff that's coming out is coming out in piles. There's so much shit coming out about the Michelle Pfeiffer incident.
Yeah.
That they literally went and fucked with the Wayback Machine on the internet to hide all the statements that they made about it. There's people they pay. Remember, did you see this hack with the Wayback Machine? It happened a couple months ago. It was one of this avalanche. No. Yeah, they went in and hacked a bunch of shit out of the Wayback Machine. Nobody knows. Nobody even knows what they took out, right? So whatever was taken out was taken out. It's so they went back and erased all this stuff where people were making statements, telling you had to go on a date with Michelle Pfeiffer, even though you didn't want to, you still had to, and if you didn't go out with her, you're going to lose your job. And so there's people that are running, hiding, and scared, and then now you got the Diddy thing that's going on. Dude, look at the Diddy thing, and then look at all the people that came out in favor of Kamala Harris. They were all going to those Diddy parties.
Yeah. Do you guys know the podcaster Patrick Bet-David, PBD?
No.
He's pretty big. He's got 4 million subscribers. He was one of, I think, 4 or 5 podcasts that Trump did pre-election.
Uh-huh.
He did Joe Rogan, Theo Vaughn. He did the PBD podcast, but it's a big podcast. It's these 4 guys. They're like businessmen. I think they're out of Miami or something.
Is this the guy that bought a Tesla truck?
He might be. He's like an Armenian guy, like a business guy, like an Armenian Trump.
Okay.
And but they do pretty good podcasts. But he had this woman on his show named Annika Lucas, who I became aware of a couple years ago when I was talking to Corinne Hustabont for The Devil in Us. And she was raised in the cults in Europe, and he actually brought her on his podcast. And she was pressed to ask names, and she said, well, I don't really want to name names because this is about a healing process. And anyway, she ended up naming a few names. And she actually said on a podcast that has 4 million subscribers that one of the people David Rockefeller pimped her out to when she was 9 years old in 1972 was Pierre Elliott Trudeau, Justin Trudeau's father, and that his thing was the sex with the children and then killing the children. And I thought to now, this is nothing new for us. I mean, this, I described all this stuff in The Light of Darkness 5 years ago. But for it to be hitting this crest now, and so all of the information is coming out now. And so what's going to happen in the next 4 years is going to be mind-boggling. And some of it's going to be good, and some of it's going to be bad. And some of it is absolutely going to fulfill Epic's worst fears about Donald Trump, because he's no saint, and he's going to fuck shit up.
Well,
but
hey, there's a whole big, I mean, you're definitely, I definitely want to have this conversation about this, because there's lots of people around, the people surrounding Trump, and the people that and the whole thing that happened, with the assassination attempt and all this stuff, all that happened, and just what's gonna happen now, the things that we're moving into, the things that people are excited about. There's a lot of things people are excited about, and so far so good. But I was saying to Epic earlier, and I want to run this by you. Never in the history of a presidency in this country have I ever seen a cabinet that was being picked and run out in front of everybody like this big giant promotional campaign. It's literally uncanny. I've never seen it. And like I'm saying, people were crying fascism and fascist this and fascist that, and they were saying it like it was an insult. But what I don't think most people really understand is that America is fascist. America is a corporate government state. Okay, and now, like you were saying earlier about being out front, we got a bunch of billionaires in there surrounding Trump. And then you got his son-in-law, and the whole intense Jewish connection to what he was putting together when Trump was in there the last time. So I think having to do with what you were mentioning earlier in reference to the temple being built. And, what do you were here when we talked about that. What is that designation that these rabbis, these 291 rabbis, they went down to Mar-a-Lago and gave
them the silver something,
the
right?
Meshach or something the Messiah.
Is the Messiah. Yeah. And the thing is, like, when we talk about those people, all those billionaires we're talking about, we're really talking about is you take the masks off of those people and eyes wide shut. That's exactly what we're talking about. You take those masks off. That's Vivek. That's Elon Musk. That's all these people. That's who they are. They're ritual Satanists. That's exactly what they are.
Well, the thing is,
I
believe that.
You think Musk is a ritual Satanist as well?
I think he's kind of a goofball, but I do think he intentionally wears these things to taunt people, like these outfits he makes. I mean, granted, some are Halloween costumes, some are based on Doom because he's obsessed with Mars, some are based on these other things. But yeah, he puts those pentagrams and stuff on him. I would not be surprised. I think that the people involved with PayPal in general,
I think,
are some kind of ritual. There's a ritual tie-in.
His mother was a witch, allegedly.
Allegedly, yeah.
And we did play a video, Bruce, a couple weeks ago, which was something having to do with his babysitter when he was a kid.
Yeah, I'm aware of the video.
Yeah, and he was opening up portals, and she said, "Well, he's not the Antichrist. He's not the Antichrist, but he's gonna be instrumental in the mark of the beast," which is interesting.
I sure did.
It's interesting, and I'm just bringing it up. It's topic of conversation, but the point is that it's interesting because you have that design of the neural link, which is something that would go under the skin. But I mean, we've talked about it before. There's really no necessity for the going under of the skin. But let's talk about this, because this is important, and it's going to be important to you in the future, and it's important to everybody in the world, because we're moving into the positive ID scenario. So like over here in America, here in 2025, there's a bunch of states that are going to require you to actually prove who you are to get onto your social media, or to go log, like if some, even if somebody wants to go visit a porn site, if that's what they want to do and they're over 18, they're going to have to prove that they are. And they're going to have some sort of positive ID. So you also have this new smart ID that you're going to have to use for domestic travel, even in the United States, Bruce. This is coming up.
Yeah.
Momentarily. So now, what's it like where you are? Do you have to show? Do you have to show ID for anything? I mean,
it's like 1972, dude.
That's what I mean. It's like you got a paper.
This is why it's so hard for me to conceive of these things. I mean, there's, let's say there's like 300 people where I live, maybe 500 if I include all the natives deep in the jungle. There might be a dozen people on this mountain who even have a bank account. Everything is like a little bit of money in a tin jar.
Mm-hmm.
Right. And so I can't imagine. Now, I have noticed that at the grocery stores, like some of the bigger chains, you can do your own checkout now, which, I mean, they've had in North America for 20 years, 25 years, but that came. But there's no way they're going to bring all these ID requirements into Central America. There's no way. No way, man.
Yeah,
well,
that's
that for sure. Let's see what kind of landscape we're living in after they kick the living shit out of the cartels.
Yeah, and let's maybe quietly, that's where everybody's going, is a place like where you are. In other words, there's you could go there's lots of places in the world where there's nobody. There, you could easily build a breakaway civilization somewhere and start from scratch. You could have started on that a long time. In other words, you could be some beautiful oasis somewhere in this world that nobody can get to without a jet. You know what I mean? Without a jet and some 4-wheel drives or whatever. I mean, there's no way to get there. It doesn't even exist on a map. But there's a city that's just out here, out in the open.
We'll call it DB Cooperville. Got to jump out of a plane to get there.
Yeah, go ahead, Bruce.
Yeah. I mean, you guys live in a very anonymous place. Like, Canadians and Americans don't even really know their neighbors anymore. Where I live, everybody knows you. Like, so everybody knows me now. I've been here 7 years. There are not that many white people where I live. There might be maybe 10 or 12 in a 50-kilometer radius of where I live, 100-kilometer circumference. And so when I go to, like, everybody knows me, like the mayors, the police. They may not, I may never have met them. I don't know their name, but they go, that guy's name is Bruce McDonald. He's Canadian. He's married to Rosemary Chavarria. He lives in the mountains in the Dos Ramas Pueblo. And they know you. Like, it's really, so even the mail over here, there's no street addresses over here. There's no street addresses. So I went on an ordering binge from Amazon because I just have this intuition that things might be harder to get in 2025. So I got a couple of Blue Yeti microphones. I got a new monitor. Oh, by the way, Jimmy, I picked up the new M4 Mac, the Mac Mini for $599.
Did you?
Best computer deal of the computer deal of the last 25 years.
Hell yeah!
If you have
telling people all about it, you gotta get it.
Yeah, if you have a spare. It is so fast, it's unbelievable, man. And the base RAM now is 16. So
you can upgrade it with memory chip too. A lot of people don't know. They show you how to do it on YouTube. You can put bigger memory in there. So here's the thing that's cool about it. I mean, well, it's not cool. There's a lot of cool things about it. That's not cool is you need to get it before the tariffs take effect. So you're kind of on a timeline of do it before sometime late January.
Yeah.
But so I got it real quick, and I got everything I need now. So. But when I put my delivery address, and Amazon accepts this is literally my Amazon delivery address. 600 meters past the Mother of God River Bridge on Highway 32, going south, and it's the Louis convenience store at the front of the Espabel Pueblo. Ask for Gilberto. That's my DHL delivery address, okay? And everything gets there no problem because the guys driving the truck are from this area and they know everything.
Yeah.
Okay?
Yeah.
So
well,
now in America, proof of ID might not be a bad idea with all the scary people you have in that country now. I wouldn't be averse to that at this point.
No, I mean, and the thing is, it's going to have a lot to do with deep fake and AI video, because I mean, just in the last 9 months, the videos that can be created with AI at this point they're getting really good. I'd say another 6 months, 9 months. I think it'll be to a point where anything would be possible. And I mean, Bruce, literally video, walking, talking video made from just still picture. Like pictures.
Yeah, old picture. Abraham Lincoln. all those things are shown.
Lincoln.
It's amazing.
Exactly.
So I was going to modify something I said earlier about the ritual Satanism thing with the billionaires are being rounded up and put in the cabinet, or all the people in eyes wide shut when you take their masks off. I'll still say there's still the people in eyes wide shut when you take their masks off, but I won't say the ritual Satanists. What I'll point out about eyes wide shut is that what do? They do that real low, sonic thing, right? And they hit the staff, boom, boom. And what that is homage to the old ones we were talking about earlier, but before light was created, right? That's the old ones. So that's what it's to. So it's not necessarily Satan per se.
Yeah, she did you ever see the mid-90s David Icke interview with Arizona Wilder? She referred to the old ones quite a bit as well.
That's what it is. So as Satanism is more relatable to people, but it's actually it's older than that. Right? It's the foundations. Yeah. It's the foundations. It's not the world of light. So it's the world of sound and structure, right? And sound structure plays into all the esoteric, fraternities like Freemasons, everything else that build these pillars and whatnot, and eventually lead these other things. So that's what it is.
And the Enochian alphabet.
Yep. Well, all based on sound too. The Enochian language. Yeah, it's all that.
Mm-hmm.
We're not encouraging that you study magic, kids.
No.
Very dangerous. It's like working with explosives. You don't want to do it. I got a book, guys.
All right,
I just wanted to come on and say hello.
Hey, listen, next Friday night, Doc McCarran's coming on, and we're going to be doing a tribute to Kev Baker. So you're welcome to join if you want to.
I might very well do that. He was a fine Scotsman.
Yeah, he was. He was, man. Yeah. All right, well, listen. Bruce McDonald, you can find his books, Amazon, MacDonald. And, man, thanks for stopping by. Merry Christmas.
Yeah, peace out, guys. Merry Christmas.
New Year. Happy New Year, brother. There he goes.
Happy New Year.
Bruce McDonald popping in. Glad to see him. Looks good. Technology's rolling. And I don't know, man. Friday night. Second hour is almost done, my friend. It was good to see Bruce. I haven't seen him in a bit, and we haven't seen a lot of people stop by in the chat. Whole big giant chat room full. If you're at Revolution Radio, you want to come and hang with us over here. I can't ever get in that Matrix chat. It's the only reason I'm not in there. For some reason, I can't ever get in there. But what are you gonna do? We are over here though.
I couldn't do it for VR. Like that also got me.
Yeah, I don't know.
Too much multitasking, right? Yeah. I'm not in VR right now. I got just headphones on. But
so listen,
yeah, man, that's an adventure if you're in VR.
So listen now, you were taking a look at the Economist cover. I threw it over to you. I threw it over to you earlier because I was looking at it a couple weeks ago and then I forgot about it, and then I was lovingly reminded about it, and then I passed it on to you and I said, hey man, why don't you take a look at it? And check it out. Now, if you're here and you're with us, just go on Google Images and type in, the World in 2025 cover, so you can see it and talk and see it along with us. Because all the pictures that I can get, the resolution is so shitty that when I put it on YouTube, you're not going to even really be able to see it.
I found a great one, and I'll put it in our YouTube chat. So if you're listening someplace else, come to YouTube chat. You can go. It's a 5,000 by like 3,000 resolution. You can blow it way the heck up. It's great. So I'll link that one in the chat right now.
Right on. It's into the microcosm, motherfucker.
This is a man's world. This is a man's world.
Dave M. Ethan Manichetti.
Man's world, but it wouldn't be nothing without a woman or a girl. Without a woman or a girl. Man thinks about little baby girls and the baby boys. Man make them happy, 'cause man make them toys. And after man make everything he can, you know that man makes money to buy from other men. This is a man's world, but it wouldn't be nothing, not one little thing without a woman or a girl. Without a woman, it'd be nothing.
All right, that's Dave Manichetti from On the Blue Side LP. Highly recommend it. You can find it anywhere music is sold. All right, listen. Going to be right back and get into the Economist cover. It's Revolution Radio. It's FreeWorld.fm. My name's Jimmy. We'll be right back.
This morning, she should come a-calling. I wouldn't dream of
Hey, Doug. Thanks, man. Mac Mini, $5.99.
And if it got hot and hectic, I know she'd be electric. I let her take her chances with me. You see, she gets what she wants, 'cause she's hard and soul. She's hard and cold. She's got it all. I'm loving every night.
Thank you for listening to Revolution Radio.
Are you interested in the paranormal, murder mystery, real natural law? Do you enjoy interviews with amazing guests? Then join Crypt Rick every Monday night, 6 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, right here on Revolution Radio. Studio A, freedomslips.com. Crypt Rick's Hyper Thinking. Welcome to the Crypt.
It is no secret that the so-called mainstream media is best described as controlled propaganda. Countless news stories are either totally ignored or spun with half-truths, and because of this, essential facts and vital information are often compromised. Join Dr. Ott every Friday night on Studio B at 10 p.m. Eastern and learn why The Story Behind the Story was nominated for a Peabody Award in its second year of producing unparalleled broadcasting excellence in 1997. That is, if you really care about learning the truth.
Do you love topics about history, world events, popular conspiracies, and everything under the sun, while discussing their historical context? Then welcome your host Trinity, where no topic is off the table, truth is spoken to power, and where your voice can be heard. Here is where you can communicate openly and learn from one another, while respecting our diverse society and figuring out the truth to where we're heading. Join Trinity in a 2-hour roller coaster ride of research, comedy, and interesting content, made with you in mind, people that matter the most. On Mondays at 12 a.m. Eastern and 11 p.m. Central, only on Revolution Radio Studio B. Be a part of a different way to hear radio.
If you're sick of the lies and ready to know thyself, to love thyself, well then tune in to the Loveolution with your hosts, Amy and John Paul, where we speak all about truth, love, and freedom every Tuesday night, 5 to 6 p.m. Eastern Time, Studio A, right here on Revolution Radio. And remember, only you can free your mind control. Be a Loveolutionary.
Interrupt your normally scheduled programming to bring you this important broadcasting announcement. Now is the time to explore your greatest potential, embracing truth, health, and wellness while discarding the system and exposing its corruption. Experience true freedom every Saturday night between 6 and 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, live from Studio B. It's the Jonathan Wright Show. Find it right here at revolution.radio.
We're an anarcho-syndicalist commune. We take it in turns to act as a sort of executive officer for the week. Yes. But all the decisions of that officer have to be ratified at a special bi-weekly meeting. Yes, I see. By a simple majority in the case of purely internal affairs. Be quiet. But by a 2/3 majority in the case of more... Be quiet. I order you to be quiet. Look, you stupid bastard, you've got no arms left. Yes, I have. Look! It's just a flesh wound.
I don't believe I've seen such a display of courage, skill, nerve, grace, and stupidity.
I'll do you for that. Oh, what? Come here. What are you going to do, bleed on me? I'm invincible. You're a loony. The Black Knight always triumphs.
Roundtable Live, Monday through Friday, 1 a.m. till 4 a.m. Eastern Time. Bring your mind, bring your ideas, bring your voice. King Arthur had nothing on us here at Revolution Radio, freedomslips.com. All right, thanks for listening while we took that short break here at Revolution Radio, freedomslips.com. And yeah, we're going to get back to your host.
It's Revolution Radio. It's into the microcosm. It's hour number 3. My name's Jimmy. And welcome back. We're happy to be here. Don't forget, Revolution Radio is fully listener supported. So come on down and become supporters. Barely made it back.
That night her kiss told me it was over. I walked out late into the dark. The misty gloom seemed to soak up my sorrow. The further I went on, I felt a spreading calm. Then suddenly my eyes were bathed in light.
Alright. I tried to go inside, get a cup of coffee, and I ran a little bit late, so sorry about that, but here we are. And Epic Tournament, are you there? Are you there?
I am.
Excellent. All right, listen. Listen, I'm going to have you jump in here, and I'm going to go back in the house real quick and finish getting my cup of coffee.
Well, I think grab surfboard.
No.
Some fireworks.
Surf's up.
Yeah.
No, seriously, the wave, we have a big wave warning going on right now.
Yes.
All right, listen, I'm going to be gone for about a few minutes, so I want you to take the reins here. Here's the helm. Let me toss you my captain's hat. There you go.
I'll guide everybody to the link. Get us all prepped and ready. Yep.
I know you just go ahead and jump into it. Give me a minute, and I shall returneth. Epic Journeyman.
Okay.
The Economist cover. Tell us about it, won't you?
All right. It's the 2025 World. Well, it's the Economist World in 2025 Economist cover, and the link is in the chat. I'll add it again real quick. So if just viewing it right now, if you're coming over YouTube, it should be there. Oops, wrong one. That's Ursula von der Leyen, how you pronounce her name. That's important. That's the wrong one, though. We can give you the right one. Okay. Here we're going to post it in right now, or attempt to again. So if you're coming in, this should work. Let's see. Because the actual one that I wanted to put in there is like way too long. No, it didn't work. So never mind. We're not going to give you that one because I'm not going to look for it. It's a 4K image. You can scroll up in the chat a little bit. I posted about 3 times, so it's there. So basically, the Economist has really good history of predicting things. And we figured out a couple years back that actually most of these things all come to fruition within 3 years of it happening. Not necessarily that year. There are things that happen 3 years later. Not necessarily always 3 years per se, but within 3 years. So it's pretty accurate in that way. In the last 3 years, if you're looking at the cover right now, it's a round orb. Ironically, we're talking about orbs, and they've had that format for the last 4 years, basically going back to are we allowed to say the Michelle Pfeiffer the pandemic, right? Where it was a deliberate tie-in to a virus, obviously. And you look at this one looks a little bit more like the last couple covers did. I mean, it does look like a spike protein. If you just kind of squint your eyes, you look at all the protrusions on the sides and everything, then you open your eyes, you see that there's a big hypodermic needle on the middle row on the right-hand side with what looks like blood in it, some kind of serum, right? It's a pretty obvious tie-in that more so than the others, this one seems to really be hearkening back to that. And I would say that that's intentional. And I would suspect and think it might be tying into 2 things. How the world's recovered economically since then, and that's you see these charts throughout the drawing, throughout the image. It's for those who don't have it in front of them and just listening to me right now. It's an orb. It's a round circular orb. It's comprised of a bunch of panels, probably about 50 of them. They're all linked together, and inside each panel is an image, and the outside diameter of it is jagged, which is why I draw the analogy to a spike protein from a virus. That's what it looks like. And then at various parts in the center, the orientation going left to right, the horizontal axis, the x-axis, there's a stock market kind of arrow things going up from left to right. So from the left side, it's on the low side, right side's going up. And that kind of ties into perhaps the idea of an economic recovery since the pandemic. It could tie into that. But it's from a strictly first view standpoint, when you look at it, you definitely make that association, or at least I did. Like, obviously, it looks like that. It looks like a spike protein. Obviously, it has this economic recovery thing as part of the center panel, and it starts to the left in the bottom left-hand corner. You see it as well. And so that's the first thing that caught my eye. And it's like, well, it's probably with the needle, of course, being like a heavy hint, heavy hint. So from there, there's a couple of things to take notice of. There's a theme throughout it. There's 3 themes that I can pick out. One is printed circuit boards. Every third, fourth panel is a printed circuit board, and about 1 in 5 of them, several are actually just digital references of 0 1s binary. So there's this tie into the old, not old, but current electronic world. It's digital. And that also plays into the jagged square wave kind of outside diameter inside panels, because digital 1s and 0s is all square. It lacks the smoothness of analog. in real life. I mean, so all these digital representations of things we take for granted in real life that we see in analog are represented in a pixel state. And that is not only implied, but confirmed by the dot matrix images inside the cover's two panels. One is in the center under Trump. Trump is in the very center. Let's point that out right away. There's a panel of Trump in the very center of this series of about 50 panels. Beneath them is a nose. It's a dot matrix nose. I think it's something from a dollar bill. I don't know which currency, but it's likely a 5 or something like that. I'm not sure. And then there's the eye, right, to his diagonal right. And these dot matrix images composed of digital information in the analog world. Dot matrix is what makes an image from far away look like it's actually drawn in high scale, but it's actually just these dots, very much like digital information. So that's the theme throughout the whole thing. The 0 and 1s are there. The dot matrix pixelation is there. So this confirms your view looking at that. But there's also something else. In the second trim, it goes from there. It's a big one, tying us that original electronic and dot matrix digital binary way of thinking is also the advent of artificial intelligence in quantum computing. And that's referenced in a series of panels that are pretty much replicates of the same thing, where it's this burst of it's like a starburst, not really a starburst. And there's also this wavy form, which represents, like, I think, the algorithm, the fuzzy logic kind of way of looking at things through AI. So it's AI and quantum computing, and you'll see these random panels. This is just my interpretation. I may be wrong, right? But just you'll see those too. And so those form like the backdrop. And along the third thing, that's a major thing, is a wall. And you'll see that there's it's represented by these brick walls. At the bottom, it's at the left, it's at the right, it's at the top, it's all over. And that represents, I think, two things. One is the actual isolationism, wall off the rest of culture, wall off the world, this return to in the West to isolationism. But it also represents something more significant and equally valuable for the purposes of the chart with the marketing thing, and that the arrow with the people involved, which we'll talk about in a minute. And that is, it's made out of bricks, right? So it's a note for bricks. It means bricks, right? So it's not just the wall of isolationism, it's bricks. And left to right is, on the left, you have the European Union President, Ursula, on the middle panel to the left. You have Zelensky in the bottom left corner, right? And if you look at it's meant to be read from the center, either going counterclockwise, right, around, or read from the bottom and all the way around the other way, and going back to the full loop. So let's start at the bottom. At the bottom, there's it looks like I tried to figure if this was a real person. It was Madame Curie, I thought, or maybe it was Susan B. Anthony or somebody like that, some Victorian woman. And the best match I could actually find was a peasant, like a medieval peasant girl, like before the French Revolution, maybe quite a bit before. That's like the head. This is like a servantile woman. So I think it represents the oppressed original war of the sexes, if you will. I mean, but it's not just war of the sexes. It's actually just the idea of the class war. I think that's where we're starting here, is a class war, right? So she's the anchor at the bottom. So if you go left to right around the dial, right, you'll see that it goes back to digital. They all link to digital, right? Whichever way you go. But it has the wall above, digital binary references, has the AI matrix algorithm, has the chart of the rising stock market, has Zelensky, has printed circuit board, the broken voter box, meaning that voting is broken, right, in this world, this Western way of looking at things. And as you continue to look, we're not going to go from the other way around, right to left, because we're going to see it this way as we go up. You have electric cars, half charged. Then you see the down arrow and a multiple down arrow. And you see the world, and the world in focus on the top third on the left-hand side that anchors it is an actual Western world. It's North South America, right? And next to it is an eye on nuclear hazard, right? So it's the eye shape with a nuclear hazard symbol. Above that is a diode, 3 diodes, electrical symbology, cathode on the upper side, the anode on the bottom. There's the arrow still pointed down, printed circuit card. Then it gets really interesting. So what you see on the outside is another arrow, part of that market chart going down. So everything on this left side is in decline. It represents it's in decline. Voting is in decline. The Western world's in decline. Nuclear energy is in decline. All this is in decline, right? If you look at it this way. And then as you go up, and the wall's still there, the bricks is still there. So it's still the partition. But there's this other red orb of the world And that red orb of the world is actually, and it talks about it in this actual article. I read the summary of the article, and I read the whole article with 10 high points. It talks about a huge solar event, right? That there's going to be this. They're really looking at the potential in 2025 for having a really large, plasma discharge, coronal ejection, and that's just depicted right here in this panel. Then you have the quantum part, and we're going to skip the top with Saturn. We're going to come back to that, and we're going to look at the other way going around. So it's Qi, Emperor Xi, right, from China there with the binary behind him, printed circuit cards representing manufacturing. Still, the hourglass has been tilted, so it's been tilted towards the bricks. The time it's on the timer, going back down with the wall, back to printed circuit cards. Now the world in focus is actually the Eastern world. It's Asia, right? Asia, Africa, and Oceania. Then you got the hypodermic, representing either vaccination or representing perhaps inoculation, or perhaps it's blood, right? It looks like it's red in the center. I mean, red's the theme of the whole thing, but it could be that. To the right of the world, of the Eastern Hemisphere, it's a net. It's a net. Does the net represent the internet? Not sure. Back to the printed circuit card, and then we get to Putin, which makes it really interesting here, because Putin's got the digital matrix again, and it has the atomic symbol, but it's a counter to the counter symbol or nuclear symbol on the left-hand side. Again, and so it's left-right kind of is politically balanced too. The left side is the socialist side. The right side is the strongman, authoritarian, fascist side, if you will. I mean, that's what it really represents, right? So you have the rise of the right, decline of the left, and in this nuclear symbol, you see that it's being embraced by that side. So in other words, the BRICS nations, right, are embracing nuclear power, embracing whatever this is with the thing. And the rocket is interesting because it's obviously a missile, and it's a question of, is it? I thought at first it was like SpaceX or something, but it's not. It's a weapon.
No, that's a weapon.
Yeah, and then so now we're almost done coming back around the dial.
What is that? What is that? Y with the cross symbol?
It's diodes. It's diodes. Electrical diodes.
But I think yeah, but I don't mean that. I mean, it's actually a symbol for something. There's an organization that uses that.
Oh, well.
And I think it's some sort of
that too.
I think it's some sort of white thing. I'm not sure.
It could be. It could be. I didn't get far enough into it to check the runes. Maybe somebody chat. I'm not looking at the chat right now. I'm looking.
Yeah,
at the
but the
picture,
diodes. Yeah, I see
the
that.
Chat will catch up.
I definitely see that
have some
diode.
good definitions of what I'm looking at too. But this is important. Where we're back to that quantum. The starburst symbology there. Next to it, you see looks like a cloud. At first, you think maybe it's a volcano, or you think it's it's something like that. No, you zoom in, it's a nuclear explosion. It's an actual nuclear explosion. And then you have the strong iron fist. So is the iron fist of communism, or is the iron fist of authoritarianism? I believe it's, at first I thought it was like, Maoist kind of thing, but it's not. If you look at the way it's divvied up, it's actually a strong arm. It's a strong man. It's the iron fist.
Yeah.
So the only thing I haven't quite got yet is that grin.
Check into the Celtic Rebels fist discussion.
Oh, I have to check into that.
No, well,
so
yeah,
around Trump, it's money. There's $2 signs around him, and they're both in the middle. And in the middle is the climbing stock market, and Trump is in the middle where he can choose which way to go, left or right on this path. If you follow this like it's a board game, that's what it is. So now we get to the top, and I was going to come back to it later, is the civilization. And the civilization is the city skyline, and it's topped by Saturn. So at the bottom, you have the serf class, you have the commoner, you have whatever.
Yeah, I was thinking that looked like Metropolis is what I was thinking.
That's exactly where I was going to go. Yeah, and over top of it, you have this esoteric, all the things. There's all kinds of definitions of
and
Saturn.
That's clearly the eye of the dollar bill, too.
Yeah. Yes. Exactly. Yeah. So in all angles, I have to look at it that way. It's on the bottom, on the left, and on the top right. It's not the center. There's $3 references for sure.
So they were saying that that a strong dollar is bad for the world. So the rest of the world needs a weak dollar. They need America to print more money so they can all do it. And so when America's dollar is strong, interest rates are high, everybody else is look at what's going on in China. You know what I mean?
Well, yeah,
So-
and what's interesting about this too is if you download this image, and it's a high resolution image, and you can zoom in on it. Like I said, it's 5,000 by 3,800 pixels at 4K, and it should have a magnifying glass in your browser when you click on it to magnify it once you get there, and you can blow it up quite a bit. And I noticed that this is something I have to look at because I think it's a clue, and I don't have the tools right now to use it. But if you look at the back of the paper, it's meant like it's on paper, like it's drawn. The dot matrix is a recurring theme, right? If you look at the market chart in the middle, there's these rows of dots, right? And like the one that's like 3/4 to the right, and it has like very definite defined ticks in it. If you're blowing it up enough, you can see it. It looked like a DNA marker. It's like a DNA marker. It's exactly what it looks like. A DNA strip. It's exactly what it looks like. So I want to look into that a little more. And it's something that, the same thing actually, ironically, is on the Tesla or the electric car one. If you look, there's a row on the left-hand side, the same kind of strip, which looks like it has DNA information on it. I don't know why it'd be an electric car thing. But then this dot matrix idea, when you look at the cityscape, there's a whole clutter. It's supposed to maybe look like your settings are too high on the copy machine or something, but I don't think so. I think there's definite information there. Like if you look at the length of some of the horizontal lines in that cityscape going across the city, those are almost like sound etchings on an audio record. Like if you're playing the album, that's like the sound in the groove. I mean, this is like Cicada 3301 stuff right here, man. It is. And then in the vertical plane, there's also these rows of some kind of information. So I bet you there's more to this. I bet you if we crack the code, so to speak, and it's probably not that hard to figure out. We'll spend some time with it.
It's going to be.
There's information here.
I bet it turns out to be just like the movie where they receive some signal contact.
Oh, like contact. Yeah.
It might be
No,
a
it is.
3D image. Like you should look at it.
Oh,
Actually, you know what?
I think you might have it. Right? I think you might have solved it. It's the ET message to the Earth, right? That's the Saturn in this case, and that's the message, the contact. This
it's time.
It could be, man. You might have it. You might have solved it right there.
It's time to ask. It's time to ask AI Jim what the fuck's going on with this.
Okay, AI Jim, what do you got going on?
Hold on. Let me ask it. Can you please decode? Stand by. Hang on a second.
So what do you guys think of that? I mean, that's just my first time look at it a couple hours ago. I mean, I looked at it before. I just didn't high resolution look at it and really break it down until about an hour before the show. And I came away with those definite impressions and those marks on the panels that look like DNA or look like information. I think there's something to that for sure.
I just asked it if it can decode the cover of the 2025 Economy magazine. AI Jim is now searching. It says the cover reflects the impact of a Donald Trump's presidency and America First policy, suggesting shifts in global alliances and intensified trade rivalry with China. Protectionism and geopolitical realignments are prominent themes. AI and technology, the investment boom in artificial intelligence exceeding $1 trillion is depicted as a transformative yet uncertain venture. Additionally, China's leadership in clean energy technology like solar and electric vehicles is highlighted as a counterbalance to the domestic economic challenges. European turmoil. The fractured ballot box points to the political instability within Europe, including frayed and Schengen system, increased border checks, migration, and travel tensions. Social scientific development imagery such as the syringe and planetary symbols hints at a potential pandemic threat and the scientific breakthroughs. The rise of women's rights movements globally is also symbolized. Wild cards. The cover hints at unpredictable events including potential natural disasters, ancient discoveries, and renewed pandemic risks, emphasizing the need to prepare for the unexpected in 2025. The issue, and here's Jim's epilogue here. The issue, the world ahead 2025 integrates expert predictions on economics, politics, and technology, offering insights into how these themes might evolve. You can explore these forecasts further via the official resources. So there it is, AI Jim. That's now. Does AI Jim's assessment kind of match up with you? Because I know you were saying earlier you thought.
Yeah, really close actually.
I know,
really close.
I know, 'cause you were
I'm
saying.
surprised, man, because it's really close. I mean, it didn't mention the BRICS thing, because I think there's a duality to that. It's not just the wall of isolationism and making a separation between us, the cultures, but it's also BRICS represents the BRICS and saying the BRICS is on the rise, like the market. The chart climbing to the right, pointing towards that side, seems to imply,
Well, Bruce was throwing in about the smashing of the BRICS, and a lot of people are saying that Trump is going after the BRICS, that he wants to destroy the BRICS. But I'm curious why that would be. In other words, it's not. Is a BRIC an actual threat to the dollar itself? I mean, because they built another system around the SWIFT system. So essentially,
yeah. Well, it's saying the clean energy, I mentioned the nuclear power being open and embraced on the right side with the authoritarian side, right? That side, Xi and Russia, and how it's the eye on the nuclear hazard on the left side, where it's being tampered down, or it implies the embrace of clean energy. Definitely, I brought that up in my interpretation. So I think that's interesting, man. You caught that pretty well.
The doctor agrees with your conclusions, Epic, in the chat room. Yeah, so I don't know. Let me see. Now, let me just take a look here. Now, what else here? There's one other thing I noticed too. Where is it? So you see this Earth over here on the right? You just see it's on what I'm seeing is it seems to be blotted more in certain areas. It's darker. Does it seem like that to you? Does this look like Africa's darker on there?
Yeah, well, yeah, it's definitely focused on a different hemisphere. So like that side of the whole collage is focused on the Asian hemisphere, and the other side is focused on the Western hemisphere. So it definitely applies east-west. And it's focused on China on the right-hand side. And yeah, there's something to that. In the chat, they're saying it's Jane Austen. It very well may be. Looking at the picture, that does look like her. So that's a good pickup, guys and girls. It's great. Yeah. It probably is Jane Austen. So what does it say? She's known primarily for 6 novels, which implicitly interpret, critique, and comment upon the English landed gentry at the end of the 18th century. Austen's plots often explore the dependence of women on marriage or the pursuit of favorable social standing and economic security, which kind of implies what I was saying about the rise of women's rights and stuff. I think that's implied. Yeah, I think you're right. It's Jane Austen. It definitely looks like her. I'll see if I can link the picture of her in the chat. Let me see. Without having to go through a long.
Give me a short.
Long one. Yeah. Here we go. Let's see if this will work. Here
Events,
we go. This should work.
Or to make Bitcoin a reserve. What do you say?
Oh, I was saying in the chat they're saying that the girl at the bottom is Jane Austen. I think they're right. I linked it in the chat. So it does look like her.
Okay, so what I said, I just asked AI Jim, give me a short description of events if Trump were to make Bitcoin a reserve. AI Jim said, if Donald Trump were to make Bitcoin a reserve currency, it would mark a seismic shift in global and economic financial systems. Here's a speculative outline of events. Financial markets will react sharply, with Bitcoin's value likely surging due to an increased demand and confidence in its role as a reserve asset. Traditionally, reserve currencies like the U.S. dollar could face devaluation pressures as investors reassess their portfolios. The U.S. Federal Reserve monetary policy change. The U.S. Federal Reserve need to adjust its monetary policies as Bitcoin and fixed supply would be constrained in traditional levers like money printing. See? Money.
Yeah, well,
money printing would cease. All right, hang on. This could lead to deflationary pressure and cause stricter physical discipline. Geopolitical. Countries reliant on the dollar for trade and reserves might diversify into Bitcoin, reducing U.S. monetary influence. Rival nations could accelerate their development in their own digital currencies to counterbalance Bitcoin's prominence. Economic implications. Businesses and individuals might experience reduced transaction costs, faster cross-border payments, and due to Bitcoin's decentralized nature. However, volatility and scalability concerns can pose challenges to widespread adoption. So we're just talking about Bitcoin just because it's the big daddy. It's the gold.
It's the best example.
So, okay,
right?
yeah, innovation and adoption. This move could spark a wave of technological innovation and global adoption of cryptocurrencies, with more industries leveraging blockchain technology. Your ledger, ladies and gentlemen, positive ID, and you got a ledger for life. Generation Alpha, they're going to have a ledger for life. Just like when, at a certain point, you had to go down and get yourself a Social Security card so you go get yourself a job. Well, Generation Alpha, when they go down and get their Social Security card, it ain't going to be like that. It's going to be on their eyeball. And then that's it for the rest of the time. Now, listen, I don't know if you played the game over there at 21andMe. You want to find out if you were an Egyptian goddess or a pharaoh or a king.
Just walk like one.
Yeah. You just had to see where your bloodline came from, your DNA, and you went over there. Well, they're going broke. So I guess whatever they have there is going to be up for sale to the highest bidder. So your DNA, if you signed up for that, your DNA is going to be sold to somebody else.
That was Sergey Brin, co-founder of Google's wife, who started that company.
Yeah.
And I can't help but, as we analyze that picture some more, you blow it up more. I mean, it looks just like those genetic marker strips from the OJ trial, all over the place in those panels.
Did you know OJ? Did you know OJ died in 2024?
Yes, I did.
I didn't.
I thought it might have been in 2023. But yeah,
I am out of the loop on that. Seriously, I was like, what? Yeah, I don't know. 23andMe, nothing as it seems.
Yeah,
bingo. Yeah. So anyway, so back to this cover now. Are those DNA markers on this cover?
I think so. I think so. Well, there are other DNA markers. I mean, some of them definitely look like it, like the thin strips, because there's those sections where the thin strips, and if you look at it when you blow it up, it's like, dude, that looks just like that. It looks just like that. Where the ones at the top in the city are more like information, like I said, just put on a disc, whether it be a CD but more like a vinyl album cover where, vibrates along those tracks, the needle goes across it. It's trippy, man. I mean, it's very deliberate, and it's a pretty deliberate line too across the top of the cityscape. That's the kind of thing that, my eye caught that I don't know, maybe it's just me imagining things. Maybe it's just added for effect, but it sure seems like, because I did a lot of the Cicada 3301 puzzles. I mean, I didn't necessarily solve the riddle, but I did a lot of them or looked into them, those kind of things. It's immediately what came to mind is that kind of thing. Like, oh yeah, this is a clue, definitely, could be wrong. I'm used to doing that kind of thing though. After all this time on the internet now, right? You look for those kind of things.
Hang on a second.
It's an interesting one. In a way, it's not as hard. I don't think it's as hard overtly to interpret as some of the other covers are. Like, there's a little more mystery, I think, to some of the other ones. But when you look at it like we just did, and then you see the things that might be embedded beyond that, then it is more mysterious. Like, good call on the Jane Austen thing. That I did not see that. I was looking all over who that could be, and I just settled on like some kind of servant class, woman. And they talked about sense and sensibility and pride and prejudice and all that. Yeah, I mean, that's exactly this Victorian kind of maid, It's kind of almost what it looks like, right? Why would that be there? I mean, that's the anchor, no matter whether you go left or right around the dais of the panels, that's the start. You start from the bottom, right? It ends with Saturn and the cityscape. And I think you're right, it's Metropolis. That's what I was thinking too. It's basically, I think it represents tautocracy. I do. I think that's the end game. So it starts with the servant class and ends with the servant class. If you look at it that way, it's a completion of the whole thing. Whether you go left or right around either side, starting from her, it ends the same as it started. One way at the bottom is it's the servant class of the time. When it was still lords and dukes and whatever. Back in the day, and it was whether it was royalty or aristocracy that was like that, and at the top is technocracy. So, but it ends up the same. You still end up with Metropolis. You still end up with the overlord, oligarch, technocratic class, and the servants.
So I asked ChatGPT, I said, give me a brief description of Into the Microcosm with Jimmy Jean, Epic Journeyman, and Rockin Rio. This is what it said. Into the Microcosm with Jimmy Jean, Epic Journeyman, and Rockin Rio is a thought-provoking, unconventional exploration of life's mysteries, societal dynamics, and the deeper layers of human experience. The show combines insightful discussions, creative storytelling, and dynamic personalities, offering a unique auditory journey that challenges perspectives and fosters curiosity. With its blend of humor, raw authenticity, and focus on the untold, it invites listeners to dive deep into the microcosm of existence, uncovering connections between the everyday and the extraordinary.
Well, you need to put that on a YouTube channel as a moniker for the website right now.
I will definitely.
That's awesome, actually.
I know. What's even better is it knows us, you know.
I couldn't have written it better myself. That's great. It really is.
Yeah, it's crazy.
It's dead on, I think. What does the audience think? I wonder.
I don't know.
I think that's like, I couldn't have picked a better description. Like if I was going on a, someplace where they're asking, well, hey, what did you do in a microcosm? That's exactly like the promo I'd give them, something like that. That's perfect. You're perfect. I mean, if not, it's pretty great. So does AI flatter us? Is that what it is?
Well,
you got to wonder, man. Like that's the thing,
Listen to this. I had to write a poem about the show. I'm not going to read the whole thing because it's fucking long. But here, I'll just read the first couple. Beneath the moon's electric glow, where unseen waves of knowledge flow, Jimmy Jean, the mystic guide, beckons all to step aside. Into the microcosm we descend, where thoughts unravel and truth transcends. The static hum, the hidden sound, the unseen world where light is found. See what I'm saying, man?
I think we have to really look into this. As Karen Carpenter said in the chat on YouTube, AI can gaslight and flatter. I'm sure. Yeah, that's what we're suggesting. I mean, we talked about it in shows quite frequently.
Well,
but
hey,
AI gaslighting
Karen,
thing for sure.
Hey,
There's no doubt about it.
Karen, go over to ChatGPT and type in your name over there and see if it'll gaslight you. See if it'll gaslight you, because I mean, it's trippy, because everybody knows this week that they announced up in San Francisco
AGI,
right?
Yeah.
They announced it, and we've been telling everybody that it's already been here for a while. So,
yeah,
I mean,
yeah, like Sora, right? For example, Sora, the AI generative video software, it's been around that Sam Altman's been sitting on for I don't know how many years, probably, right? They just showed up, earlier this year. So how far are they really, right? And it's like this, yes. They announced it's AGI, it's reached AGI level. Well, if that's true, and I have no reason to doubt it. I mean, the Stanford Artificial Intelligence Lab was started in 1962. I'm sure they've come a long way, right? So, yeah, we're.
No, I'm just saying. I mean, the reason that I did that, the reason I chose that to do, was because I was listening to Jeff Rentz. And he had a guest on who was just, he was just playing around. So the guest, like right in that moment, told the thing to write a poem about Jeff Rentz. And so it did. And it didn't take but like 20 seconds. And he read it to Rentz, and Rentz liked it. It was it was a good thing. So, I went and tried it too. Because I'm curious. Just because I'm curious if I mention the name of the show, what's going to come out of this thing?
Because that's the only information it really has, right? I mean, other than your IP. So if it's not supposedly on the internet, which it obviously is, but if they say it isn't, and it's just somehow firewalled off, and all you're giving its information, it shouldn't know your IP address. It shouldn't be able to geolocate you. It shouldn't be able to do all these other data points, Cambridge Analytica style, and figure out your psychographic profile. It should just only know what it is available, that's been given, that's accessible in some database somewhere. So for it to do that is freaking phenomenal. Even if it was a team of writers and it's some, you know, a bunch of poor guys from India and Pakistan in a tanker ship off the shore of San Diego, you know, working at a phone call center, and they have to write it up real quick. They couldn't come up with that, you know. So it's legit, man. The one that happened when we had the story about they went to go rescue the cats. You had the cat in the sidecar.
Yeah,
that was freaking awesome.
That was funny.
Yeah,
I know. I mean, it's amazing. The thing is, I mean, like I was saying earlier, some of these videos that you're seeing now or that are being made are really, honestly, it seems to me that the biggest hurdle that has to become less and less is the rendering time, because a lot of this shit, you know, just a minute or two of something takes a lot of processing power. And so Joe Blow might not have that kind of a machine, you know. So if you got to do it over the internet, you know, it's just right now it's not. I mean, I would say at some point, and maybe in the next 9 months, I can maybe say 9 months, I'll be able to come up with a script idea and go and tell it to this thing, and it will cut me a movie. You could describe a dream that you had to this thing and say, make me a movie out of it, and it will be able to. Literally. Because that's
I mean, the lifetime aspect is what's amazing. Like, it's eventually with Neuralink, I mean, I know we talk about it like it's some sci-fi thing, but it's not. I mean, it's a real thing. It's actually hooked to your brain. It doesn't have to be Neuralink. It's just a brain-machine interface. In general, they have them on VR headsets. I mean, they have, not all of them. They have a couple of experimented with, playing around with. But the idea being, once it can read it directly from the brain, there's no, you're not typing text, you're not talking. It's just reading what's in your thoughts, essentially. And then it gives it that little head start to draw it. Even when it does that, it's going to be like if you watch a football game now. They tried a couple years ago. They still do it sometimes, where they try to save time with edits, where they skip frames in a football game, and it shows up right away. That's why I had to stop doing it. High definition TV. You notice, like when they skip the frames to make a bit more room for advertising later, and it's only 30 frames instead of 60 frames or whatever. You notice, right? Mm-hmm. So that's what they have to overcome, and the only way to overcome that is that I hate to call it blood-brain barrier, but that is kind of what it is, right? You have to just go straight to the core of the brain processing to make it. The computer's fast enough. The software can be fast enough. It's just a matter of taking out the interface. It slows it down, right? Which is you typing it in or saying it or whatever. Once it does that, I mean, yeah, it's gonna be a hallucinatory world. It's gonna be hard to know where the dream stops and reality begins.
Yeah. Well, it's getting real tough. I mean, because there's, especially with these AI generated photographs. So what's going on now is lots of people are making photographs that look real as hell. So it's like, there's some fucking article and I go, scientists uncover ancient spaceship. And it's like all these people digging this shit out. Right? And it looks real. People got dirt on their faces. They're wearing those vests. They got shovels. There's a giant fucking spaceship sitting there. It was clearly buried for more years than there's been people on Earth. You know what I mean? So...
and people are so uninformed. I was going to say gullible, but gullible is probably the wrong word. It's just they're uninformed about the technologies out there, and they're skeptical when you tell them that it's that far along. That's the problem we face. You can tell somebody, you can break out the newspaper article like, no, I don't believe that, man, bullshit. They're just trying to whatever.
That's what I'm saying.
That's not real.
There's these archaeological digs that are showing up all over the place where it looks like they've dug out these aliens, these giant stone carved different races of these aliens sitting on thrones and shit. And standing there, like, big looming statues that are like 30 feet tall of these, and it looks real. So, I mean, unless you're the type of person that's going to go look beyond what you see right there, if you're just scrolling and you saw that shit, you'd go and talk about it at the water cooler. Hey, did you see those aliens they found? Like,
well, right. And you're going to show media that's capped probably on YouTube, for example, at 30 frames per second, let's say. And so, and there's compression errors and things like that. So there's things that you're going to look at, and because you don't have the actual film footage, or you weren't actually there, you're going to accept those little errors because you're used to seeing them normally on YouTube. The mind compensates and allows a certain amount of plausibility just due to the fact we see it so much, in everyday life, right? Oh yeah, it's just a compression error. That's just some latency. That's whatever. It may be just that it didn't render in time, right? That's the tell. But because it has that out right now, I mean, if you're going to believe things that you see in media on the internet, I'm not saying it's a bad thing necessarily. I'm just saying if the mind will believe that, right? If you accept that as factual, then there's nothing that AI can't do, if that's true. You know what I mean? Like you have to have a way to check it. And we just don't. I mean, it took away film. You can't get film developed right now. You can't go down and get your, down the mall and get your roll of film developed. UFO lands in the lawn, you take a picture of it with your old film, your Nikon camera, and you run down. Hey, I got it. It's great. I got perfect evidence, right? Nobody to develop it. You have to go seek somebody out in Germany or something to go develop it for you. Where you take a digital camera, people say, "Oh man, that could have been altered." They can just move the pixels. Yeah, I can do that now.
Mm-hmm.
How can you prove anything's real?
You can't. All right, listen.
2024.
I don't know. I'm going to turn everybody on to something tonight, right now. And I'm not giving you investment advice, but if I were you, if you're a person looking to invest, you have some investments you'd like to make, I would highly recommend you look into what I'm about to show you, because the amount of money that's been spent on AI in the last while is compared to what's been spent on what I'm about to tell you about. What I'm about to tell you about is going to grow so much that if you're on the ground floor of any of these big players that come out of the pile, it'll be like buying Apple stock for 50 cents.
Be the year of AI agents. So what are AI agents?
AI agents. Okay. AI agents. Here we go.
And to start explaining that, we have to look at the various shifts that we're seeing in the field of generative AI. And the first shift I would like to talk to you about is this move from monolithic models to compound AI systems.
All right, listen. AI agents. Imagine you could assemble a team to do stuff for you. For example, a simple example would be your AI agent. Someone built an AI agent that will not like what you have now with Siri or whatever this other shit, the Amazon thing. It'll be more like you come home and your AI agent that's been monitoring your premises will let you know the dog needs water, so on and so forth. Anything that happened while you were gone, if you missed any calls. This type of thing, just a real simple kind of thing. That's an AI agent. So, but it can do other stuff too, and more complicated tasks. And then you can take these AI agents that do different things that don't have anything to do with each other, and you can group them together and have them as a group be your team that's doing all these tasks that they never stop. In other words, I could get an AI agent that all it does is market into the microcosm, and it stays up 24 hours a day, posting links, going into chat rooms, going over here, writing a comment, so on and so forth. That's all it does. AI agent. All right, I'm not going to play this video because this video, it sounds like it's going to be too complicated and it's too late at night. But here, go ahead.
I got a good addition, I think.
Okay.
So I haven't moderated much on the on the subreddit. I moderate very much because I was taking a break, right? And I hired a bunch of new moderators. I hired, but recruited, and they all basically quit, right? And it's been the auto moderator, which is there's a couple they're still active, but mostly it's this auto moderator, which is a robot. But the thing is, it's not really a robot; it's just a script checker,
How to turn a chilly 50-degree room into a comfortable 73 degrees.
Sorry about that.
So,
go ahead.
So while this was going on, somebody brought up, I was bringing up how we can't keep up with artificial intelligence chatbots And we always had a problem with bots on Reddit, but now you have these AI chatbots they're indistinguishable from human beings. I mean, so how do you know what you're dealing with, right? We had a problem with just script bots before. We talk about AI agents. Here's the thing: Reddit was developed by OpenAI with Musk and Sam Altman rather.
Yeah.
Started back in 2014. They were using Reddit to, we've talked about before, to build a database. But just this year and just recently, I think in October, both Google and OpenAI, now as a separate company, are paying Reddit to use it as a platform to train the AIs that they're working on. In other words, so now it's not only okay, they're getting paid for it to run their bots by us. These AI agents we're talking about are some of the very users you're interacting with.
Yeah.
There's nothing stopping them, and there's no way for us to tell the difference now.
No, there isn't.
Right. That's what's going on. So when you're on Reddit right now, I'm just warning you ahead of time. This is a real thing. This isn't some imaginary thing. This isn't something that we're speculating about. They're paying Reddit to do this. So it's not just reading everything on Reddit. It's interacting.
I found one that says AI agents explained like you're a 5-year-old. So we'll try this one. Hang on a second. I'm waiting to skip the ads. All right, here we go. Ready? AI agents. Here we go. Oh wait, come on, you prick.
And we expect someday for there to be thousands of agents available. We want 1,000 agents to bloom.
So I think we're going to live in a world where there are going to be hundreds of millions of billions of different AI agents. Eventually, probably more AI agents than there are people in the world.
For the very first time, this is going to be an industry of skills. And you capture that phrase and you call it agents. But it's going to be, for the very first time, agents sitting on top of tools.
If you're here, it's probably because you've been hearing a lot about AI agents lately. Maybe you've even checked out some other videos that got way too technical, and you thought,
why don't you explain this to me like I'm 5?
Well, guess what? That's exactly what I'm going to do. I'm going to give you the most straightforward...
I just want to say, this is an Indian dude.
real-world explanation of what an AI agent is.
All right, hold on. Let me get this up on the screen. The dude put a lot of energy in it. I mean, it looks like he's produced a nice... Well, maybe it's AI produced. He's an AI agent to produce this bitch. All right, hold on. Hang on a second. It's Revolution Radio. We're not on TalkStream Live. I hope they get that fixed, man.
So what is it? You probably already know that AI stands for artificial intelligence. But here's where it gets interesting. AI by itself is like raw brain power. It's got all this potential, but it's not really useful until you give it a job. Enter the AI agent. Think of AI as the genius with a million ideas, and the AI agent is the one who actually gets stuff done. While AI is all about smarts, an AI agent is the practical, hands-on version. It's like giving that genius a task and saying, okay, now go do something useful.
So the AI agent is the interface or the bridge, because it can make AI do what it needs to do, because you can't ask AI the questions the same way that the AI agent can, because they're speaking the same language, essentially. So it's taking and it's just working that AI for you. You're not doing shit. There's something on your screen. You just click the button. But in the background, this thing's going, sending out emails. It's hassling people. It's calling people on the phone.
All that brain power. The AI agent takes the intelligence of AI and turns it into action, whether it's answering your questions, automating your work, or handling your to-do list. It's the difference between knowing how to do something and actually doing it. So while AI is the brains, the AI agent is the one rolling up its sleeves and making things happen. Here is the 1, 2, 3 of AI agents. Number 1, they understand. AI agents listen to what you're asking or needing. Number 2, they think. They process this information and figure out the best way to help you. And number 3, they act. Finally, they deliver what you need, whether it's an answer, a solution, or help completing a task. Now, how do they work? Imagine your parents are heading out for the evening and leaving the babysitter in charge. Remember, you're only 5. They don't just walk out the door. They give them instructions, what time you need to go to bed, what you can have for a snack, and what to do in case of an emergency.
Yeah, so Matt in the chat just brought up AI agent can figure out how to get government contracts. Yes, and because you're on the front end of that, thinking about that right now, you could go over there right now and pay somebody to develop an AI agent for you to do that, and then you could go do that and win a shitload of contracts right now because you'd be striking with this weapon that no one else is using because it knows exactly how to get the contract because it knows the secret little that you got to do in the back end of the paperwork. This kind of shit.
Not only that, it has all the legal references if you get in trouble.
Exactly.
You know what I mean? It can write the contract. Yeah.
Exactamundo. Well, guess what? You can use this for anything, including trading on the stock market, investing in anything. You can build a tool or have a tool built for you. As a matter of fact, you could probably ask ChatGPT to build you an AI agent. I bet you could. Let me let this roll and I'll ask it right now.
That's exactly how AI agents are trained. Developers provide these agents with detailed instructions using data so they know exactly how to respond in different situations. Some agents come pre-programmed with basic instructions, like a babysitter who's already experienced. Others can be customized to fit your needs, like giving the babysitter special rules for kids. Once set up, these AI agents handle tasks just as smooth.
Okay, man. Listen to this shit. You guys ready for this? So I just asked ChatGPT if it can create an AI agent. Now, since we were already talking about into the microcosm on here, it thinks I'm still talking about that. So it says, define your AI agent's purpose. What is the AI agent's primary function? Example, hosting and managing into the microcosm content. Acting as a conversational assistant for fans. Curating episodes, scheduling and providing recommendations. I'm going to have it build me an AI agent tomorrow. And then tomorrow night we'll come back on here. Because there's a whole bunch. It says Python, use GPT-based APIs to allow your agent to answer questions and carry on discussions that reflect our tone and style. Wow. All right. Revolution Radio. We'll see you.
Thanks, everybody.
So it says content management, integrate with YouTube podcast platforms or database to pull and recommend into the microcosm episodes, so on and so forth. Man, this is unbelievable. So right now I can use the tool provided to me, okay, ChatGPT, and I can use it to build my own AI agent, which I am going to do. We're going to do it. We're going to use it for our own selves as a demonstration. Time's up. Got stuff going on in my personal life that I need to take care of right away. And so I will talk to everybody tomorrow. Epic Journeyman. I'm going to go right as we hang up because there's stuff going on that I got to handle right away.
All good, Jimmy. Okay. Thanks for a great show.
Hey, tonight, great show. And are you going to be home tomorrow? I'll get a hold of you before the show.
Yeah, I should be.
All right, because tomorrow's our New Year's Eve show because we're not going to,
that's what I was thinking.
So we need to do like an end of the year, big news stories of the year, so on and so forth. Memorable moments. I'll bring back all the sounders, like Where's the Beef, Go Get Your Shine Box, It Is Balloon, the barking dog.
It is Balloon.
Yeah.
That's going to keep coming up because it ties into the drones. So,
I know. All right, you guys, we're going to get out, man. It's been long. It's been a long time since this show started, and I'm freezing my took us off. All right, we'll see you guys later. Thanks,
everybody.
Yeah, thanks for being here. We'll see you. Hang on, Epic.